And a very good afternoon from the Ageas Bowl, where we are around about 11 minutes or so away from the start of this T20 Plus fixture between Hampshire and Essex. The team news and the toss news. I'll certainly give you the toss news straight away. Essex won the toss and they are going to bat first. So let's give you the team news before I introduce my fellow presenter for the next few minutes. Hampshire's injured all-rounder Liam Dawson with us once more. So the Hampshire team, well, they've made one change from the side that lost to Kent here in the T20 a couple of days ago. They were Zach Crawley'd, I think it's fair to say. George Munsey, the Scottish international batsman, returns after recovering from a side injury. So Hampshire are George Munsey, James Vince the captain, Sam Northeast, Joe Weatherly, James Fuller, Lewis McManus, Ian Holland, Chris Wood, Ryan Stevenson, Mason Crane and Shaheen Afridi. Essex are the same side that beat Sussex a couple of days ago. Cameron Delport, Tom Wesley, Dan Lawrence, Michael Pepper, Ryan Tenderscarter, Paul Water, Simon Harmer, Matthew Quinn, Jack Plom, Aaron Nijar and Sam Cook. So those are the two teams. It's another glorious day here on the south coast, and let's say a very good afternoon once more to Liam Dawson. How are you?
Hi JMO, hello everyone. Great to be here again.
Certainly is. Now, I think it's fair to say that these two teams haven't exactly set the T20 competition alight this year, have they?
No, they haven't. And hopefully it's a really good game of cricket. That, you know, there's no pressure on both sides. You'd like to think both batting teams can go out there with a bit of freedom and put some runs on the board and see some boundaries. There's a potential Essex will probably have their thoughts on the Bob Willis Trophy final for some of their senior players that are going to play in that. So that could hamper them. But certainly for Hampshire, this is a free game.
It certainly is. So if you're watching via the live stream via the Hampshire Cricket website, that's also going to the Essex Cricket website as well, so you'll be able to pick that up there. The Hampshire team and the Essex team are both displayed on the screen as you look. Yes, there's various ways to watch and listen this afternoon. We're going out, of course, via the BBC Sport website, bbc.co.uk/cricket. And as I say, via the live streams, and also if you want to pick up the Hampshire Cricket app, it's free to download. You can also pick it up on that as well. Just to give you the table, just to put some context in what I've just mentioned about these two teams and what Liam said as well. Essex sits second from bottom of the South Group with 4 points from 7 matches. Hampshire sit bottom with 3 points from 7 matches, and the top 2 teams in each of the 3 groups qualify, and then the best 2 third-place teams go through as well. It has to be said, though, Liam, doesn't it? In a 10-game group competition, where potentially 3 teams out of the 6, so half the teams qualify for the quarterfinals, to actually be out of it with 3 games to go is a pretty good effort, actually.
You're right. Yeah, I think that just shows how bad certainly Hampshire have played this year. Very inconsistent, and also, you know, Essex as well, to be second from bottom. But, you know, that's what it is. It's not an easy, you know, it's a strange season, but that's certainly not an excuse. But as I say, hoping for an exciting game of cricket today.
Now, the one change in the Hampshire lineup, George Munsey, whose last game actually incidentally was against Essex at Chelmsford, so he's only played the first 2, Kent at Canterbury, and then that one he's been injured with a side strain. We know Hampshire's batting woes, of course, against Kent here 2 days ago. They weren't too bad at all. 182 we thought was a high score, but generally their batting hasn't been quite up to the required standard, has it? How much will George Munsey make a difference?
Yeah, I think it's a positive change. I think Tom Alsop, you know, he's played nicely, but he's probably, you know, to open the batting, you know, you want a little bit of a quicker start from your opening players, and I think James Vince, you know, he's going to walk into any team as well, so you can't really drop him. So I can understand the team change of bringing George Munsey in. He's obviously very powerful. I think he's got a strike rate of, you know, over 140 in his career. So it's a positive change from Hampshire, and I think it's a change that, you know, I think that we probably needed to make sure we do have very good power plays that we haven't had in the whole competition. It's a lot to ask somebody. Listen, he's obviously a mighty handy player. You've seen him in the nets, I guess, a little bit. Even if I know you've been injured most of the time, but his strike rate of, well, it's 160 plus, isn't it? Which is high, isn't it? I know the standard of cricket sometimes what he's playing is variable, but you've still got to hit it. Yeah, completely agree, and I think this is, and it's a good opportunity for him as well. I think he's here just on a on a contract just for this summer, so he has a lot to play for. He'll be really motivated to do well today, and for us the competition, to potentially earn another deal for next summer. So he's exciting for sure, and hopefully he can get us off to a fast start that we probably haven't had for the games that we've had so far this summer.
Let's talk about some of the other batting for Hampshire. As we say, it's generally not been great, but there were signs in the last game against Kent where perhaps if Hampshire can build on that today, we might be seeing in the last 3 games or so, a much improved performance. It has to be said, James Fuller, couple of innings towards the last game against Kent. Quick 550. The game at Hove against Sussex, quick 550. He's been a success, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant, and I think that's exactly the role that he needs to do for this team, is to come in and finish games off. So he's been brilliant. He's been, as I said, he's probably had a little bit of a quiet year last year for us, but to come in this summer and perform the way he's performed, it will give him a whole lot of confidence. And going forward, hopefully he can carry on that role, and also with the ball as well, that will give him confidence to perform with that as well.
It's right at this moment we welcome BBC Essex listeners as well to the BBC Sport website. Paul Newton, the BBC Essex commentator, will come in a moment and just give us a little bit more from the Essex briefing. But very briefly though, from Liam Dawson, we just talked about James Fuller's batting. Fortunately, James Vince looks as though he's coming back into form after a couple of innings where it didn't look as though he was really right at the races, but 40-odd against Kent in the last game. We saw some of that old lovely driving on the up power coming back. Yeah,
and I think if he's completely honest, he probably didn't feel at his best again. If James Vince gets 40, he doesn't usually get it off 40 balls, so he's probably a little bit behind where he'd like to be, but to get 40 was a good start from obviously not training much. But as I said, hopefully he can find form, and if he does, he's going to score a lot quicker than that.
Stay there a minute, Liam. Let's then bring in Paul Newton from BBC Essex. Paul, first of all, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon to you.
We talked a little bit about Hampshire. What about Essex? Because they're sort of finding themselves in the same boat here, really, where they can't really put together a string of performances.
Well, that's quite right. Hope springs eternal from the point of view that last year, even the players had completely written it off. And then suddenly they won 3 and tied the game here of their last 4 games. And got through not just by their own efforts, but because at least 4 other results which had to go a certain way did go a certain way. I remember Glamorgan were at home, I think, to yourselves at Cardiff, and Glamorgan haven't won a game all season. I hate to drag up old memories, but suddenly after about 4 overs they're about 50 for 1, and they played as they'd never played all season. So these things can happen, but Essex would need the same set of circumstances to go their way. Just to tell everyone, going out live 765 medium wave for BBC Essex, and of course online for BBC Essex, BBC Radio Solent. Paul Newton here with Kevin James and Liam Dawson, and the news is that Essex have been put into bat, and they are unchanged from the side that broke the habit of 6 previous games this season and actually won a game down at Hove, and to be fair, won it in very good style indeed.
Yeah, I think there was, how many losses before that? About 4 on the trot, wasn't there?
Yes, you're right. First game was a rain-out, which I'm judging by how many runs Essex got in subsequent games, they wouldn't have won. They would have been chasing 180-odd against Middlesex. Yeah. Next game was a tie against Surrey, who are currently right up at the top, surprisingly, because they didn't start too well. And then, as you say, 4 defeats on the bounce, and just when it looks safe to say Essex have completely blown it this year, they did win at Hove, and apparently, I wasn't there, Nick Gledhill was there, but apparently played well enough to suggest that things might be on the up. But you have to remember that Dan Lawrence, who's a brilliant player on his day, hadn't been informed previously, got a quite fantastic 80 off 48, 81 in fact, of 48 deliveries. And when you get someone who does that, no matter how badly you may have been playing before, you're back in with a chance.
Yeah, the tie game here last year, Dan Lawrence got runs.
Yes.
69 in Essex, 139 for 7, Hampshire 139 for 6. Essex won actually, there was a no result the previous year, 2018. You have to go back to 2015 to find a Hampshire win against Essex on that ground. And I know Liam's smiling, but you weren't actually playing in that game. Dawson,
yeah, I don't think I was. I can't remember.
It was in May.
Played a lot of cricket. I'm struggling to remember.
Yeah, one specific game. Why can't you remember why you weren't playing? But I did look at the team there. I mean, you have to go back to Danny Briggs, Yasser Arafat, Oish Shah. Of course, all we played at Essex.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Drop maybe, not selected.
I can't believe that. Liam Dawson dropped. Surely not. Right, so the Hampshire team are out there in the middle with their bright yellow shirts and dark blue trousers, and Essex a very similar outfit actually, apart from their dark blue sleeves. And out to the middle for Essex walks Cameron Delport. Is a great start. I'm going to get it out again, Paul. I mentioned this at Chelmsford in the first game. Liam, you'll love this. I think it's since the middle of 2018. Cameron Delport has played for more T20 teams and franchises than any other player.
He's made a lot of money then.
Yes.
Yes, he's a player who goes for it lock, stock and barrel, and it either comes off, as it did against Surrey one day last year. He got, I think it was 129 not out. But it has to be said, the reverse is also true. He can be a sort of 3 boundaries and out sort of player. But to be fair to him, he's also bowls useful sort of
Ravi Boparas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sort of medium-paced dobbers, I think is the official definition, and absolutely brilliant fieldsman at backward point.
Yeah, nice to be known as the new Ravi Bopara at Essex, isn't
yes.
it? Really? Hey? I wonder who'll be the new Liam Dawson when he moves on eventually. Mind you, that'll be many, many moons. Perhaps that person hasn't been born yet.
No, talking of Ravi, he hasn't cut it much so far at Sussex.
Mixed, hasn't he? He's been mixed down there a little bit. So the first over will be bowled by Shaheen Afridi from our commentary end, the Rob Bransgrove end, and he's bowling to the left-hander Delport, and that's outside the off stump. Good carry. This is the same pitch that was used against Kent 2 days ago, Paul. So Hampshire's got 180, and everybody said how they all thought that was too many. But nobody banked on Zach Crawley.
No, I mean, he is that 267 in the Test match. You know, for one so young to make so many marks him out as potentially an outstanding player for hopefully several years to come for England in that problem number 3 position.
Here's Afridi, then left arm over and bowls, and Delport gets a thick outside edge, works that down to third man. He's off the mark, and the Essex Eagles are on their way. So slightly to the right here as we look on the square here to the Ageas Bowl. So slightly short boundary again to our right, and a very, very big boundary away to our left.
Lovely to see Shaheen Afridi playing, and this ground must be a little bit of a second home to him on his tour over here, and he's a terrific prospect, 19 years of age, and you know, very, very quick indeed. Love the way he's clearly passionate about the game.
He certainly got the ball through a few times. He's had to work hard for his 1 wicket so far in this competition. My word. If you look at his stats, you think, well, can't bowl, but I tell you what, of course he's a lot better. That's down the leg side. That'll be called a wide, though. First ball to Tom Wesley, but yeah, he did have great success in the Test matches here, isn't he? I think one innings figures was 2 for 120 or something.
I mean, let's be fair. If you're a world-class bowler, which potentially he is, he's not far off now. You're used to bowling with sort of 4 slips and a gully, which is where they really come in. I remember Dale Steyn in T20 cricket. Essex played Glamorgan. He went for something like 38 in 3 overs.
Right.
Might have been 32, but it was a lot of runs.
We'll be doing an update for Sonnet listeners shortly, I think, because that's driven up to mid-on by Wesley, but there's no run. Fielded by George Munsey. Good to see him out there. We talked about him pre-match. Nice to short boundary side, left-hander Liam. It could be his boundary, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be. He'll be on that short boundary. You know, it's only probably a 50-yard boundary, the same pitch as the other day, so I'm sure he's excited to try and take that boundary on.
Yeah, looks forward to it. You know, I saw him just before the start of play, and he said, "Yep, I'm fit. I'm raring to go." So, real boost to the Hampshire batting lineup. Here's Afridi then bowling to Wesley once more, and that's full. And Wesley just works that off the bottom of the bat up to northeast at extra cover.
It's been a very tough season for Wesley. He has struggled really in both forms of the game, and he did play well at Hove. Got 39 in a 118 partnership with Dan Lawrence, where Lawrence took a lot of the pressure off him by having this habit of hitting 6s.
Oh, there's a change in the field already. Looks like is that Weatherly coming out into the covers, so no slip. As Afridi comes in, there's not really any swing for him, not at the moment anyway, as Wesley just plays and misses outside the off stump. Good carry through to the keeper. I'll just do this update for BBC Radio Silent listeners on the south coast on all frequencies. Essex are 2 without loss, and Afridi, the bowler. Here we go. Yeah, we're in the first over of this game, and Essex, who are batting first after winning the toss, are 2 without loss. Shaheen Afridi, the Pakistan left-arm pace bowler, is bowling as we speak. Hampshire made one change to their side that lost to Kent a couple of days ago. George Munsey playing only his 3rd game, the Scottish international, after being injured earlier in this tournament. He comes in for Tom Alsop. Live commentary right now via the BBC Sport website and app. It's turned away on the leg side for a single. End of the first over. Quiet over, 3 without loss.
Yeah, it was a quiet over, you're quite right, but this of course is what you're hoping for from your top overseas bowler. Shaheen Afridi there, despite bowling a wide, and it was about as narrow a wide as you could get. It was just minutely outside leg stump. So that's where the 3rd run came from. The other 2 are single each to Cameron Delport and Tom Wesley, with Dan Lawrence due in at first drop for Essex. And the Essex lineup for me has a better feel with these 2 opening, Wesley moving up from 3 to open. I could never totally understand why Wesley, who used to open, chose to drop down to number 3, because at the point he left opening he was scoring a bag full of runs. And meanwhile we've got the next over starting now. This ball's clipped away down to forward short leg. Chris Wood is bowling the first over from the Meon Valley end. Has various names, but that's the one that sticks in my mind. And they get a single, so 4 for no wicket. Essex, did we say they were put into bat or chose to bat, Kevin?
Essex won the toss and bat.
They won the toss and batted. Obviously it worked well for them at Hove, and even in the previous game against Surrey, although they lost off the last ball, they got 190 odd, and that was a heck of an improvement from any previous score they managed on.
So are you staying, Paul, for a couple of overs, or should we let Liam be in?
Well,
or
bring
what do you want to do?
Liam in. I think we'll just take this ball. As,
well, do this over.
Right, well, this ball has been lofted by Delport away to the wide long off boundary, and that is all the way for 6. And like all people who are good at hitting 6s, remarkably little effort to get it there, particularly when you think that it's one thing to heave the ball over mid-wicket, but over wide long off tends to take a little bit more. But he's a magnificent striker of a cricket ball. It's 10 for no wicket, and Delport has hit a 6 to move up to 7.
Just watching the replay on the stream there, just went over the rope, but he looks like he came across that a fraction as well.
Yeah, no, he's, as I say, in that game against Surrey when he got a century, he was just hitting 6s for fun. As Chris Wood bowls to him, and that's a good delivery, and he was aiming to cut at a ball that was too close to him. Came into him from outside off stump, and no room for the shot really, and it goes over the top of the stumps and into Lewis McManus's gloves, the Hampshire wicket-keeper. So Essex choosing to bat, 10 for no wicket in the second.
Yes, I think Hampshire will be fairly happy that it's fairly quiet, but Delport, it's never quiet for long when he's in the middle, is it?
Wood bowls to him. And again, he cuts at a ball that again was getting too close to him for the shot. A little bit of bounce there as well, as he rather played under it. Again, it's taken by McManus, and the score remains at 10 for no wicket. You're listening to live commentary on BBC Essex 765 medium wave, and online for both BBC Essex and BBC Radio 7.
And via the live stream, Hampshire Cricket
Indeed,
and Essex
the live
Cricket.
stream, yes, of course. You can watch what's going on and gloat at our mistakes. Here is Wood and bowls, and this ball's chopped away for 4, and that one he just forced it off the back foot with a late deflection through backward point. 14 for no wicket, and Delport moves along to 11, and this is the way he bats. You know, he doesn't let the grass grow under his feet.
He certainly doesn't. No, that's a great shot, and it still looks a good wicket. Good wicket here 2 days ago. Still looks in prime form. There's runs in this wicket, I tell you.
Yeah, but a little bit in it for the bowlers as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's been some nice bounce, good lift. Personally, I don't like pitches where the wicket-keeper's taking it down by his ankles all the time, you know. Tends to mean the ball isn't really coming onto the bat. Here's the next delivery, and this ball's been hit in the air, but it's going to clear the man at short, fine leg and disappear for a 3rd boundary in this over, as Essex move up after a quiet first over bowled by Shaheen Afridi, that when only 3 came, but now 15 off that over from Chris Wood, who I've known bowl very, very well and very tightly, but Delport is just minded to go for anything here, so it's not easy to bowl to him. He's moved along to 15 with 3 boundaries, a 6 and 2 fours in that over. Wesley has 2, 18 for no wicket in 2 overs. Essex choosing to bat, and Liam Dawson will now join Kevin James.
Thanks, Paul. He's going to take about a 10-minute break before Liam goes off and has some doctor's, what's the word? Doctor's appointment, isn't it? Something like that, isn't it, really? I think Crosswood was a bit unlucky that last delivery, wasn't he? Got it high, didn't he? Delport wasn't in control of that shot.
He wasn't. I think the pitch looks an absolute belter. I think there's a little bit more pace in it than a couple of days ago.
Wow. Even more runs then, as he's playing a missing outside the off stump there, Wesley. Start of a new over from Shaheen Afridi, angling it across the right-hander. He's playing quite away from his body.
Actually looks like, I think the groundsman's probably left a little bit more moisture in the pitch to keep the carry through. Because I remember in the ODI series against Ireland that the pitch had quite a bit more pace than what we usually have here. And I was speaking to Simon, he was saying that he sometimes tries to little bit more water it to keep the carry in. He must have done that because the ball looks to be going through lovely.
Well, I tell you what, that's a welcome change from here as well, isn't it, Liam? As Afridi bowls, and that's worked on the onside by Wesley. Fuller comes in off the deep square leg boundary. That'll be a single to the Essex total. They'll move on to 19 without loss, because if anything, they have been slowish wickets here over the years, haven't they? So if he's finding some pace, you'd enjoy that?
Yeah, I think all you want in 2020 cricket, you want something that you can work with from a batter's point of view, and I think bounce is big, and a little bit of pace, because sometimes they're very easy pace wickets here and there's not much in it for the bowlers, so you do see a lot of runs sometimes. But I think, if we can get more bounce in the pitch, and if he knows how to do that, then I think going forward our batters will really enjoy that.
Here's Afridi coming in once more, running away from us, bowling to the left-hander Delport. It's full, and Delport drives but gone straight to backward point, fielded by Joe Weatherly, and there is no run.
It's a good contest, isn't it? Afridi and Delport would have played a lot against each other in the Pakistan Super League, so they'll know exactly what each other do, and you can understand why Cameron Delport is so highly thoughtful of around the world, because he's the sort of player that from ball one will just go, no matter what form he's in. Every game he'll try and hit the ball as hard as he can, so he's a very, very dangerous player here for Essex.
He's on 15 off 8 deliveries, about to face his 9th as Afridi comes in again short, and Delport just ducks underneath. He was holding his bat there as if he was going to hopefully get off the face of the bat down to third man, but I think the ball's a little bit too quick for him. Yeah,
again, good carry, isn't it? I mean, both teams will be looking at this pitch and very happy with what they see so far. I think it's another big day, isn't it, for Hampshire? They've got to try and, it's a free game, as I said at the top of the show. They've got to try and find some sort of formula to win in the remaining 3 games, and what a day to do it with the sun shining.
That's for sure. I'm just working out how far Lewis McManus is standing back. Perhaps you can work that out, Liam. As Afridi bowls to Delport, he gets another one that bounces on him, and he works it to backward point, again fielded by Weatherly, and there's no run. How far do you think he's back?
He's not far, is he, from the 30-yard circle? So he could be maybe 20 yards back. It's only a guess, we're obviously a long way away.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think behind the stumps, if you can push a keeper back past about 15, 18 yards...
You're quick.
That's not easy, is it?
No.
Because, to be honest, even another yard of pace, well, another half a yard of pace, I don't think McManus would be even further back than that. So,
definitely.
Yeah, he is quite a long way there. As Afridi bowls, it's full, and Delport works that 2 extra cover, but no run there as Ian Holland comes in quickly. So 3 overs gone here. It's Hampshire against Essex in the T20 Blast competition. Essex just 1 run off that. Excellent
over, wasn't it? I mean, from 18 for none off to 2 overs to only 19 for none after 3 overs. That's that's the quality that Shaheen Afridi brings. He's very highly skilled. Bowled a couple of slow balls in that over. And they become a lot more effective when as a batsman that you can get in the head at 90 miles an hour. Your slow ball becomes really, really effective. So he was very, very clever with his skills there.
So Delport 15, Wesley has 3, Essex 19 without loss after 3 overs, so 17 to go, and immediately we get a change of bowling, and that looks at the far end to be Ian Holland, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Hampshire have sort of stuck with this, haven't they, throughout the competition. Holland bowling sort of the 3rd over to the big boundary, and he's had a wonderful competition so far.
Yes, he has. I'll give you some of his stats in a moment as he comes in right arm over with keeper Lewis McManus standing up to Tom Wesley. Wesley drives in the air, just over mid-off, just over James Vince's head. Didn't quite get hold of it and didn't quite get the angle he wanted.
No, he didn't. I mean, it was close, wasn't it, to James Vince? It's a little bit of luck there from Wesley, but as a batsman you need that sometimes, and he's got 4 runs to his name.
Yeah. Ian Holland might have only taken 3 wickets so far, and he's one of several players in the Hampshire lineup who have played all 7 games going into this, their 8th. But his economy rate is below 7.
Exceptional for somebody who bowls a 3rd over a lot.
It certainly is. There's a drive, it's in the air, and it's catchable height, but it's this time to Muncie's right at extra cover.
Yeah, again, that's a good shot from Tom Wesley. He stepped outside leg stump. Ian Holland's tried to follow him a little bit, but Wesley's been up to the task there, and he's hit it to Weatherly's right hand very hard for 4 runs. Yeah. But again, that's a very good shot from Tom Wesley.
It is, yeah. Mentioned Ian Holland's strike economy rate. It's taken a bit of a battering these first 2 deliveries.
If you bowl in the power play, you're going to go, and anything under 8 and over in the power play, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. That's tough, that's for sure. Here's Holland from that hotel end, and Wesley just angles that down to third man. That's gone very, very fine indeed. 4 runs it is. Mason Crane's not cutting that off.
We've jinxed him, haven't we?
Yeah, haven't we? I know. Less than 8, and he's gone for 12 in his first 3 balls. Oh.
Commentator's curse.
You'll find that a lot, actually, Dorse, as you know. Well, you've done it a bit before. And so Wesley has very quickly caught Delport up. They've both got 15 now, and in fact Wesley's 15 has come off a ball less.
Wesley, interesting that I think you mentioned at the top of the show that he's decided to open the batting again and not bat 3, so it'd be tactically a decision they've made.
Yeah, Wesley works that away on the onside, runs the first one quickly. It's gone out to the long boundary side. Northeast comes in off the deep square leg boundary. Not right on the boundary, because I think you'd struggle to save 2 if you were. Essex 32 without loss.
I think with Wesley as well, he's a sort of player that he probably benefits opening the batting, because sometimes you can sort of dot him up a little bit early on. He's obviously very strong with his legs, but I think the longer he has to bat, the more effective he can be, because he's a class player.
Yeah. Averaging 20 in this year's competition. Strike rate of just over 120, which is sort of bare minimum, isn't it, really, if you're batting at the top end?
I think so, if you're batting in the power play, certainly, yeah.
It's Delport facing Ian Holland, the short boundary side, but it's pitched well outside off stump, but that's driven through extra cover and mid-off for 4 runs. This is Zach Crawley again.
Don't. I think this is an absolute belter of a wicket. It doesn't seem too much in it for the bowlers when it comes to sideways movement. Obviously the bounce is there. It's nice and true for the batsman, and the scorecard reflects that. It looks an absolute belter.
Certainly is, yeah. 36 without loss. A quiet last over, but Essex have made up for it here. 4 boundaries already off Ian Holland's over, and he's still got another ball to bowl.
I'd like to see a punt taken from James Vince. I'd like to see Mason Crane have a go in the power play. Hasn't been used really in the power play this competition, and I think why not give him a go.
Holland bowls a good length ball there to Delport, who strikes it and just works it out into the covers. Fielded by Northeast. That's the end of the over. 4 overs gone, and Essex have gone from 19 without loss to 36 without loss. Are you all right? When's your doctor's appointment, Dorsey? You all right for a few minutes?
Yeah, all good. Got 15 minutes, so
I hate to make you
I'm sure he'll wait. But yeah, going back to that point with Mason, I think looking at the team, it could be a little bit hard to bowl him in the power play, because you obviously haven't got another spinner in the team, which is a strange decision here again at home when you've got sort of Felix Organ who can bowl off spinning, Calvin Harrison as well. So odd that we haven't decided to play that second spinner here, but I mean we're out of the competition. It'd be good to see Mason bowl in the power play and see if the batsman decides to take more risk, because he is a wicket taker.
I think you're right, Doss. I mean, obviously, whatever's been happening before doesn't work, so you just got to try something different, haven't you?
Completely agree.
Mason, but he'll have to be quick, because there's only 2 overs left of this power play. As Afridi's going to bowl another over here. 2 overs, none for 4 bowls. It's full to Wesley, and it goes through him under the bat through to McManus.
This looks like the quickest he's bowled all competition. He looks like good rhythm, and he seems to be doing very well. He's only gone for 4 runs off 2.1 overs in the power play, which is exceptional.
Certainly is. His overall economy rate is almost 9, but Dawes will tell you that he bowls the big overs, of course, which is always going to make him a little bit more susceptible to having a higher economy rate than most. But the fact he's only taken 1 wicket is quite incredible. That's outside the off stump, and again Wesley's beaten.
I'm excited today to watch Dan Lawrence. I think he's a fantastic young player. I think a couple of years ago he was someone that you could sort of bowl to in 2020 cricket, where didn't feel that he'd hurt you straight away, but I think playing against him last summer, he really changed his game to be an ultra positive. From the first couple of balls he looked to hit you and put you under pressure, and he had an exceptional summer in T20 cricket. He got 80 I think last game, so
81, yeah.
He's really transformed his game in this format of the game, and he's an exceptional player.
Sure, he's looking forward to batting on this wicket. That's lovely work off his legs by Wesley. It's gone very quickly along the floor to James Fuller at deep square leg. Wesley will move on to 17, and the Essex total on to 37 without loss.
I think there's, you know, I've read an interview with Bell Drummond as well, who sort of changed the way he plays his T20 batting, and also Dan Lawrence, how he goes about it. And I really think it's something that, as a group, as our batting group, could really look at. They've decided to be ultra positive, and in the power play, take risks all the time, and that's probably something that we're scared to do a little bit. And I think the way cricket is going, you know, you look at the two lads that have decided to do that, and you know, they've come on leaps and bounds. So as a batting group, you know, that's something that we should certainly look to do going into next season.
Yeah, good point. There's Afridi to Delport. He's tucked him up there a little bit, but he's still found a little bit of a gap on the offside, and Wesley calls him through for a single. 38 without loss. I mean, it's worth working on anything, really, isn't it? Really, because obviously whatever's happened this year isn't. Well, I know you're missing. I mean, Essex will be missing one or two, I guess, but Hampshire are certainly missing a few, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you can use that as an excuse, and we obviously are missing some big players. But at the end of the day, it's how you want to play your brand of cricket. At the minute, how we're playing is you're not going to win many things doing that. So we need to completely change how we go about things, especially in the power play.
Here's Afridi then, bowls, and Wesley drives on the up, and he's found the gaps to point. There's a chase on here. Mason Crane, is he going to get there? No, he's not. Thought he was going to get there for a moment.
Exceptional shot, isn't it? I mean, not a bad ball at all. Wesley on top of the bounce, a fraction outside off stump, and he's hit it through the covers for 4.
Yeah, there's no swing there at all for Afridi. I love this tweet from McKenna Stevenson, which is Ryan Stevenson's other half at Solent Sports. He says, if you could not discuss Ryan Stevenson's stats till the end of our innings, just in case. Love it.
Hello, McKenna.
Fantastic. She always tweets from time to time, and there's no problem. We will definitely not mention it, but I mean, listen, he's no worse or no better than most.
He has a good day, though.
Yeah, for sure. That's worked away on the onside. Just a single as it goes out to Fuller once more on the right-hand side of the ground as we look. End of the over. That's 5 overs gone here. So 1 more of the power play. Essex 43 without loss. And as Liam's mentioned a couple of times already, this wicket looks another belter.
It does. It looks even better than the other day. So Hampshire at the minute, they'll probably be happy. You know, Essex going at around 8.5 and over, so they haven't really got away from Hampshire at the minute. A couple of wickets really drags them back into the game. But if they can get a wicket in this over going outside the power play, that makes Mason Crane a lot more effective with the field back, with a new batter coming in.
So Wesley has 22, Delport has 20, 43 without loss, and Chris Wood is back into the attack at the far end, taking over from Ian Holland, whose first over went for 17.
Probably lacked a few wickets in the power play, would you say? Consistently.
Overall,
yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah, I need to have a look at through the other games, but I think just generally speaking, yes, it is. A length ball, and that's worked on the onside by Wesley, so that'll be a single. I think that's Munsey at mid-on. 44.
Excited to see him, Munsey.
Yeah,
he's got a lot to prove at this level. Obviously, hasn't played much domestic cricket, you know, in the blast, so he'll be chomping at the bit to do well today.
Do you think he's somebody that, maybe it's a little early, I mean, he could still have another 3 games, which of course at the moment in this shortened season is quite a lot to prove yourself or play yourself out of a side, but do you think he's worth bringing back for next year already? Is Wood again down the wicket? Delport smashes that over mid-on, and that is 6 runs. Well, that's just a short arm swat.
I was going to say, it's like a bullet. It's gone flat to a huge boundary straight. I mean, what a shot that was! Unbelievable.
That is amazing here. It was short arm, wasn't it? It wasn't even a full flow of the bat.
Pure power. I think going back to your point, I mean, he is the sort of player that we are lacking, you know, at the top of the order. He is like a Delport who comes in from ball 1 and tries to put the bowler under pressure.
Wood. He's under pressure. There's a drive, and it's gone straight to Sam Northeast, who does well to stop it. That, my word, that was hit hard as well.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen enough of him. You know, I've never seen him play for Scotland, and I've never seen him play for Hampshire. So today will be the first time I've seen him. But I mean, if you just base it on his stats, a strike rate, as you said, over 160. Yeah. You know, that's phenomenal. You know, if you have a player that can do that, then I'm certain it's certainly worth giving the lad a go and potentially sticking with him. So he's obviously got something.
That's for sure. James Vince has put himself to deep mid-on here. So that's another good Yorker, and that's driven hard up to mid-off as fielder was just brought up there, actually. That was Ryan Stevenson, and good move there from James Vince. That would have stopped a single, if nothing else. 50 without loss here at Essex. 4 balls of the 6th over, so 2 balls left of the power play. They've made a good start here, and I have to say, even at this early stage, Essex are on for close on 200. Things might change, of course, as that's a slower ball. It's outside the off stump, and that's not called a wide. I think Delport had set himself for something else, and now he's trying to make out that it was a huge
Looks like he's pitched off the wicket the way he's carrying on there.
He's taken a step over the offside and then still sort of made out that he's had to lean.
It's like the LBW, isn't it? Hit on the pad and then put your foot 6 inches outside the line. Try and kid the umpire.
His body weight definitely wasn't in the right area, was it, to strike that, that's for sure. I think it probably was afterwards, but a good time afterwards. Wood bowls and Delport works out behind square. He's found a gap that was hardly there between Weatherly and North East. There was no more than, what, 2 or 3 yards between them?
No, I mean, that's an unbelievable shot. I've said it 100 times already, but the sign of a good pitch is exactly that. A back of a length ball, good ball. Delport has just rocked onto the back foot, backward punched it through point, and it's an exceptional shot.
Fantastic. You need to go, don't you? Thanks very much, Liam Dawson. He'll be back a little bit later, I think. As long as the doctor, he may or may not. Yeah, depends on if the doctor gives him the all clear. But good luck with that. I'm sure you'll be fine. Sure. Cheers, Liam. Paul Newton from BBC Essex is back with us.
Yeah, we're going to see Mason. Sorry, going to see Mason Crane come into the attack with his leg breaks from the pavilion end, and 54 for no wicket. Very useful start this for Essex, particularly when you bear in mind that 3 of the most likely economical overs have been bowled by Shaheen Afridi. It's been a great pleasure to see him bowl, and he went for 3, which included a wide off the first over, only 1 from his second over, and still only 7 from his third. So 10 runs, or 11 runs if you count the wide, from 3 overs in the middle of a power play. You would certainly accept be very grateful that someone could bowl that economically. And what it does mean, though, he can only bowl 1 more over of the last 14. I think I might have been tempted to keep 2 of them back for a little bit later, but we shall see. Going to be interesting to see Mason Crane bowl here, who in the championship match at Arundel bowled pretty well. And again, in that game at Chelmsford in the T20, he got 3 for not very many and really tied up the Essex middle order.
Certainly did. If you're watching the stream, as well as, of course, watching it via the Hampshire Cricket website and the Essex Cricket website, you can download the app for free. And Hampshire are also inviting you to record a video or take a photo or a video via the fan cam and send it in.
So Crane to bowl the 7th over, and as tends to be the case with spinners, they are very meticulous about where they want the fielders, and hence the extra delay here. But here he comes now, and bowls initially to Wesley, and Wesley has crashed this ball down to long off George Munsey, and they just get the single there. 55 for no wicket, and Wesley moves up to 24. And I was just taking Liam's point a moment or 2 ago that I do think Wesley is well suited to opening rather than batting at number 3. And he was going so well as an opener in championship cricket back in 2014 and 15, and I couldn't really understand why he suddenly, apparently of his preference, went to number 3 as Crane is in bowls, and this ball smashed away through the offside for a single. And that is Joe Weatherly fielding there. They get 1 run, the score to 56 for no wicket. Delport moves along to 31. Crane coming in again, this time to Wesley. And that one's short, and Wesley thumps it down the ground off the back foot. Again, George Munsey fields that long off. Again, there'll be a single. 57 for no wicket, and we are in the 7th over. Essex won the toss and batted and are unchanged from the side that gained their first win in the tournament on Monday, just 2 days ago at Hove. Crane bowls again. It's a good delivery. That must be close. Appeal for LBW, because he's bowling to the left-hander in Cameron Delport. So that one comes from outside off stump in, and appeared to hit him pretty much in front.
It's definitely worth a shout as well. Just watching the replay, maybe it bounced a bit.
Ball's against us. Terrific smash down the ground. It could be caught or it could be six, and it's caught. And that is a good catch by Ryan Stevenson, who emerges. That we've got some scaffolding in front of us and the balcony, which just means that he was out of our vision, but we could tell from, even though there's not a crowd in, but a few enthusiastic cheers, that is the end of Delport. Caught Stevenson bowled Crane for a very good 31, but it's Mason Crane again. He completely took the juice out of the Essex middle order in the match at Chelmsford a couple of weeks ago, and from the way he started with only singles coming from 3 balls and then the wicket going down, the same could be happening again, although Dan Lawrence might have other ideas. He's Essex's number 3.
Yeah, 3 for 18 at Chelmsford. Mason Crane, he's bowled well, not just in this T20 competition but also in the Bob Willis Trophy as well. But what a catch, Ryan Stevenson. Delport didn't really get hold of it, but he looked as though he had just enough on it to get it over the rope, and Ryan Stevenson flinging himself to his left at deep mid-off, got 2 hands behind the ball, held onto it as he slid across the turf. Super catch.
It was a very good catch indeed, even though I couldn't see all of it because of the balcony in the way, but it looked odds against, but he caught it. Here's a single to Tom Wesley. As Crane comes in, bowls from the batsman cross while the catch was being taken at long off. Munsey does his 3rd bit of fielding in the over, just a routine, all of them really, as off drives or in case of Delport earlier in the over, an on drive went to him. 58 for 1, Essex losing their first wicket in this over, and a conflab now between, that is the end of the over, but conflab between the 2 batsmen. 58 for 1 in 7 overs. Well bowled Mason Crane.
Yep, he's as I say, he's been good in this. He's been taking wickets as well as keeping things under wraps a little bit. That's his 8th wicket in this year's tournament, and his economy rate has been superb, 6.5 and over, which for a spinner is pretty damn good. Here comes Holland, who's back on from the hotel end, and that's worked on the onside by Wesley. You were talking about Wesley early on, Paul Newton, as that goes out to Fuller at deep mid-wicket. I think Paul Walter was opening, wasn't he?
Yes, in Championship cricket.
Oh, in Championship.
Yeah.
Oh, right, so not T20.
Yeah, at Arundel, you remember he played well there.
Yeah, of course.
But Essex are advantage not only, I think, by having Wesley opening rather than coming in at number 3, but Dan Lawrence is a brilliant player. If he ever stays in, you want him there, and you want him there early enough to be in, ideally in the power play, but he's in straight after, so he's got a good chance here.
Holland bowls, and that's worked on the onside by Dan Lawrence. Did it come off the bat? I think it did. So he's off the mark straight away.
He's a cunning fellow, is Dan Lawrence.
Is he?
On the interview after that 81 the other day, he just happened to slip in, help coming in at number 3. And, as I say, I rather like him. He's a cheeky chappy.
Only 23 years of age, so he's got plenty ahead of him, that's for sure, as Holland bowls. Slightly slower ball, and that's worked on the onside by Wesley behind square, fielded by Munsey. Throw not quite on target as it goes through to Vince in the covers. 61 for 1 here, Essex. Just to remind you, the situation in the South Group going into this game, Essex 2nd from bottom, Hampshire definitely out of the competition. I think Essex need to win all theirs and hope for some weird and wonderful results elsewhere to go through or to qualify, as Lawrence works that up quietly towards deep mid-on. Just a little punch shot off the back foot.
When Essex won the title last year, Bopara was absolutely key, coming in, with a few overs left. You do need somebody there at the finish who can really accelerate, but you also need somebody who bats through most of the innings, from early doors, and Lawrence could be that man for Essex.
Certainly could. Here's Holland from the hotel end, bowls, and that's worked again on the onside by Wesley. There's huge areas of open spaces on that leg side, with all 3 fielders either just behind square or in front of square on the boundary, so plenty of runs through there if you don't try and hit it too hard. 63 for 1. England playing Australia in one-day international. I think it's the last one today.
It is.
England struggling a little bit, actually. 97 for 4 in the 19th. There's another slow ball as well, as that's driven out to Vince at extra cover. And one other game in the Vitality Blast starting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's also in the South Group. Middlesex 72 for 2 in the 8th over against Kent.
So that ends the 8th over. Essex choosing to bat, unchanged from the side that beat Sussex at Hove on Monday. 63 for 1, and at the crease at the moment, the partnership that put on 118 in 9 overs only down at Hove. The majority of them, it was sort of 2 to 1, Lawrence to Wesley in the run scoring stakes, with Lawrence making 81 and Wesley 39. Lawrence has made a relatively quiet start here, just a couple of singles. Wesley on 29, and just looking, we're going to see Ryan Stevenson into the attack. So Mason Crane, having effectively been produced in the 7th over to break the opening partnership with Delport, caught by a very fine running catch by Stevenson at long off, virtually behind the bowler's arm, actually running round off Crane for 31, and Stevenson comes in from the pavilion end and bowls initially to Wesley, and Wesley has heaved this in the air but safely, and it just bounces a foot inside the rope at wide long on. 4 runs to Wesley, takes him to 33, and Essex to 67 for 1 in the 9th.
Immediately putting Ryan Stevenson under pressure. I think Wesley took a pace to his right hand side, so he's offside. He did, and he still managed to club it over the onside. I've got a tweet here from Kevin Field at Solent Sport. He says, I cannot understand why by now cricket hasn't introduced second colours when there is a colour clash, as in football. Surely not too much to ask to improve the experience for those watching.
Fair points, because both these sides are in sort of yellow and navy blue. Stevenson it is. Bowls, and this ball is hit down the ground for a single to long off. George Munsey, and 68 for 1 as Wesley, certainly looking a more confident player after his innings at Hove of 39, has moved along to 34. It's otherwise until now been a nightmare season for him in his first season as captain of the championship side. Not in this form, that's Simon Harmer who captains Essex, but he is a class player, as Liam Dawson was saying, and it looks as if he's just beginning to find a bit of form and confidence. Meanwhile, Lawrence faces up to Stevenson, running away from us here. Bowls, and a rather expansive and ill-directed drive, plays and misses at the ball, goes through to Lewis McManus, and the dot ball, 68 for 1.
A slightly slower ball, a little cutter there from
right.
Ryan Stevenson. Dino at Solent Sport, I think he's also tweeted BBC Essex Sport. He has. Is that Southend, Dino? I seem to remember him from the Arundel. What are we thinking as a par score today? Come on, Eagles, he says.
Yes, we'll just have a think about that as Stevenson's in and bowls, and the ball's played down to long off, and Munsey does the fielding, 69 for 1, with Lawrence moving up to 4. Yes, par score, I would think you'd want on this pitch where the ball's coming onto the bat to get about 180.
Yeah, well, 180 2 days ago wasn't quite enough, but then Zach Crawley absolutely smashed the game apart for Kent. But 160's usual par here. 180, you'd certainly want 180 by the looks of it, yeah.
Stevenson bowls, and that's beautifully played by Tom Wesley. Really is playing well now, and a lovely ball outside off stump, which he guided down. He bent at the knee, guided it down very gracefully, down to very nearly the third man boundary. They get 2 and score to 71 for 1, and Wesley up to 36.
I think you have to remember that there's a slightly shorter boundary to our right, so if anybody gets in and starts to target, I mean, that could, you know, skew the score a little bit.
Stevenson then again. Bowls and balls hammered down to long on by Lawrence. Just be a single. Taking. Oh, they're coming back for the second. And it's not a very good throw actually there from Mason Crane. So maybe they picked their fielder there, because I felt initially there was probably only going to be 1. But Lawrence is very quick between the wickets, and he moves up to 5, and the score, sorry, Wesley moves up to 38, the score to 73 for 1 at the end of that over, the 9th. So Essex choosing to bat 73 for 1. They've by no means got away here, but they do have a lot of wickets in hand and 2 informed batsmen in the middle.
Yeah, they certainly do, yeah. The ball just bobbled a little bit in front of Mason Crane there, and I think in his eagerness to try and get the ball in quickly, the ball just fumbled around in his hand a little bit. But yeah, great awareness from the batsman. That's for sure. 73 for 1, and Mason Crane will switch ends and bowl from the hotel end.
Key bowler, I think, here, as he was at Chelmsford.
I mean, he got that one just to straighten a bit on Delport. It was worth a shout, wasn't it? The ball before Delport was out,
Very
caught
much
it, teamed
so.
it off. So he may just find a little bit of something in the wicket from the hotel end as well. We've just got a little bit of a break in play while we wait for a helmet, do we?
Or is it the bat that needs changing?
Yeah.
That last shot was, you know, not particularly well timed. Unlike Wesley, most of whose shots are graceful, it was a bit of a biff, which he didn't actually time particularly well. I'm just wondering, the way he's holding that bat, as if it needs a bit of tape on the bottom.
Yeah.
It looks more likely to be that than a complete change of bat from the way he was asking for maybe a bit of tape to be brought out. He's disappeared from view for the moment, so can't really see what he's doing. But 10th over about to come up, to be bowled by Mason Crane. 73 for 1. Of course, just on the point you were making, Kevin, you mentioned Zach Crawley. When you talk about our caller there saying what would be a par score, the whole thing is completely changed as to whether one guy is absolutely brilliant, manages to bat for most of an innings, and therefore, you know, the par score goes rocketing up. If you get him cheaply, suddenly it comes the opposite direction.
That's for sure. You're not missing anything at the moment, and you'll see on the live stream there that Hampshire have got an end of season sale going on at the moment. I'm sure most counties have got that as we near the end of the season. Only another less than a week of this. Well, you guys have got the final, but for everybody else that's not involved in well, certainly the Bob Willis Trophy final, nobody's quite sure exactly yet who's going to contest the quarterfinals in the T20. But for some counties, Sunday will mark the last day of the season. It feels like it's hardly started.
Well, I agree, but thank goodness we've had what we've had.
Yeah, that's for sure. That looks a long way off, didn't it, a few months ago, as that's worked on the onside by Lawrence. Slightly shorter delivery there from Crane to start his second over, and Essex move on to 74 for 1.
What makes Lawrence's task, if he were hoping to emulate his 81 at Hove, harder here is that the boundaries are much longer. There's some very short ones indeed at Hove.
That's for sure. Crane bowls. That's just straightened on Wesley a little bit. He was trying to flick that away on the onside, and ball just gripped in the turf and straightened on him, and in the end he could do no more than poke it back to the bowler. So there is a little bit there for Crane.
Well, there is, and Lawrence would be well advised to take a few more deliveries to make sure he gets his eye in before launching out.
There's Crane, and there's a sweep shot that goes out on the leg side. I think that's come off the pad of Wesley's. Yes, it has. That'll be called a leg by. 75 for 1 Essex.
Another moral victory for the bowler there, as Wesley went on a rather inelegant sweep and the ball missed the bat and jacked up in the air off the pad.
Crane again then bowls to Lawrence, gives himself a little bit of room, and he's just pushed that back past Crane's right hand up to deep mid on, and they'll jog through for a single. Lawrence moves on to 5. Essex 76 for 1 with 2 balls left of the 10th over and 2 balls left. That will mean when we will reach the halfway point in the innings. His Crane flighted. That's driven over extra cover. Beautiful shot. That's 4 all the way. And Chris Wood down at deep mid-off almost let the ball go over the boundary. He knew he wasn't going to get there in time.
No. Opened up the body, as they say, to make the angle to hit it over extra cover. Lovely shot. 1 bounce for 4. And that's the first blow in anger of Lawrence, who moves up to 5.
So Wesley pulling that away, gets the bottom edge, it goes down towards fine leg, past the keeper. George Muncey's running after it, he'll pick it up just inside the rope, and they will come back for 3. Slight false pull shot on the leg side, maybe didn't quite bounce as much as Wesley may have thought. He's on 42 now, and 83 for 1 the total.
Yep, it was Wesley, not Lawrence,
was it Wesley?
who hit the 4 and the 3 there, my mistake. 45 to Wesley, 5 to Lawrence. And the intriguing thing, I think, Kevin, for all the fact that 7 runs came there, it was a false shot that brought the 3 runs from the second. Certainly no fault to the boundary shot from Wesley previously. But the point I would make is that 5 of the 10 overs that have been bowled have gone for very few indeed. The 3 bowled by Shaheen Afridi and the 2 from Mason Crane, who's got the only wicket to fall so far, that of Delport for 31. Essex choosing to bat here, 83 for 1 in 10, so they're at halfway. So most of the runs have come off the remaining 5 overs, a huge in proportion.
Yeah, they're certainly on for 180 at the moment, aren't they?
They could be, yeah. I think a lot will depend on whether one of these 2 at least bats for a good while yet, as Stevenson's in, beginning of the 11th, bowls, and that's a lovely shot played to deep backward point just for a single from Wesley, but a very graceful shot on his part. and that takes him along to 46, the score to 84 for 1. But these are the last pair now, bearing in mind we're into the second half of the innings, who've really had the chance to build the innings and therefore have the opportunity to make a big half-century. Anyone else will just have to hit about themselves a bit and won't have long to play themselves in. Stevenson's in, bowls, and Lawrence manoeuvres himself in the crease and eventually works it out to deep backward point. Sam northeast for the single that takes Lawrence to 6. 85 for 1 on the board.
I've got a tweet here from Kane, not Kane that works at BBC Radio Solent, but this is another one, at Solent Sport, if you want to get your tweets in. Sounds like Liam Dawson was pitching himself to be opening the batting in the Blast next season.
Stevenson's in and bowls, and that ball is probably going to go for 2 runs here as it's worked down finer of deep backward point, and they can come back for 2. That's Wesley again playing a lovely cricket shot there, just gliding the ball down there. Didn't try to hit it too hard. 48 to him, 6 to Lawrence. We're in the 11th over, choosing to bat Essex 87 for 1.
Liam Dawson's gone now, unfortunately, because I'm not sure how long it'll be before he comes back, if at all he does, but he's off to the doctors to get his Achilles looked at.
And this ball is driven without timing. Didn't make a nice sound off the bat, but they get a single as it goes down to wideish mid-off. James Vince, the captain. It's another run to Tom Wesley, who's now within 1 of what would be his first 50 of the season.
Wow.
In any form.
Wow. Yes, it's... he's a better player than that, that's for sure,
much
isn't it?
better player.
I missed the hashtag off that Kane tweet, hashtag pinch hitter.
And here's another mistimed shot, this time from Lawrence, straight back to the bowler, nicely fielded by Stevenson. And 88 for 1 in the 11th over. Essex having fielded the same side that won for the first time this season at Hove on Monday, and they are 88 for 1 in the 11th.
Yeah, Wesley's top score in this competition is 39.
And that was on Monday. Big partnership with his partner here, Dan Lawrence, who now faces Stevenson. Lawrence, beautifully timed shot, but straight down to deep backward point. So the single, easy, but never the chance of anything more than that. And that means that at the end of 11 overs, Essex are 89 for 1. The man to go, Cameron Delport, caught by Stevenson. Fine running catch, running from long off, round almost behind the bowler, who was Mason Crane, the leg spinner, for 31. And Wesley now is 1 short of a 50. And Lawrence, a quiet start for him today, is 7 not out.
Good over from Ryan Stevenson, just 6 off it.
Yeah, very good over.
Essex are in a good position here, though, haven't they? Lost 1 wicket in the first 11 overs. They've got plenty in the tank, plenty to come here to launch an assault on the Hampshire bowling. Here's Mason Crane then with 2 overs, 1 for 13 to his name. Down the wicket, and it's driven, and it's an edge. It's gone on the 45, thrown in by Ian Holland. Lewis McManus asks the run out of the umpire, who says not out. And the Eagles move on by 1. They move on to 90 for 1.
Yes, it just got there, Tom Wesley. I think he knew what he was doing and fully expected to get there. He wouldn't be, however, one of the quicker between the wickets. Now, Dan Lawrence is. He's like a hare.
Yeah.
But anyway, Wesley, it was his call, and he duly got there.
He's on 49 then, and will this be 50? There's a little googly there from Mason Crane, and he pulls that away on the leg side, and that is his half-century. Applause from his Essex teammates and squad and backroom staff just below us to our right. Sounds like there's quite a few in. There isn't, believe me. There's a few again on the hotel balcony ahead of us, which is one way of watching a behind closed doors game. There's Crane bowls, and is he caught behind? Crane wants the catch, so does Lewis McManus, but not out, says the umpire, and Lawrence lives to fight on. And Lewis McManus just asked down Lawrence there something. I wouldn't have thought it would have been anything else, as I thought you touched that.
Yes, difficult to tell on the replay there.
Of course it is. Just trying to work out who the 2 umpires are, actually. It's one thing I haven't looked at. I'll look for it in a moment. Yes, that's driven out to bed. Oh, the throw comes in from Vince, who wants the run-out chance this time. And I think, just momentarily, Dan Lawrence was just a little bit on his heels there.
Yes, I think he put the bat down just in the nick of time. A little bit casual.
It was. Billy Taylor and Ben Debenham are the 2 umpires, and I'm trying to work out which is which. I think Billy Taylor's the one nearest us, so it's Ben.
Yes, I think you're right.
Ben Debenham's at the far end. Both being asked questions. As Crane bowls and gives himself some room and goes over extra cover. Has he got it too square? He has, or he's put down. Put down at deep cover, and I think that loud shout of no you will have heard would probably have been from Mason Crane. Just trying to work out who put that down. Didn't look particularly difficult.
No, it should have been taken. He did have to stoop to catch it, but...
So Wesley's dropped on 50 as that's pushed out on the onside by Dan Lawrence. It's going up towards mid-on. They're going to take the throw. Throw comes into the bowler's end. There's nobody over the stumps. And I don't think Mason Crane will like that either. That was Shaheen Afridi. Yes, it was. End of an eventful over, of which no wickets were taken. And 12 overs gone. Eagles are 95 for 1, so 6 runs coming off that as well.
Yes, it was a very good over, actually, and could easily have seen the end of Dan Lawrence, and should have seen the end of Tom Wesley. Lawrence surviving a caught behind appeal, and then actually I think he got in rather more easily than we thought with that wonderful throw from James Vince that took the stump out, but actually was sort of, I think his foot was actually over the line, let alone the bat. But nevertheless, a wonderful bit of fielding. But then Wesley didn't really get hold. He was attempting really to hit the ball for 6 over extra cover, didn't get anything like all of it, and I think most of the Hampshire fielders would have actually caught it, to be fair, but Afridi was a little bit caught on heels.
He certainly was. There's a break going on at the moment. Looks like a drinks break as well as a hygiene break. So 95 for 1, 12 gone, 8 to do. You're listening to Kevin James and Paul Newton, BBC Radio Solent, BBC Essex, via the BBC Sport website. You can also watch the live pictures via the Hampshire Cricket website and also Essex Cricket website. Just watching a replay of the Cameron Delport dismissal. Great diving stop there from Ryan Stevenson. Of course, those of you that can't see the pictures, I apologise, but it's a catch that's well worth seeing again. Yeah,
very much so. And catches, in the proverbial expression, they win matches. Hampshire have taken one beauty and put down one that should have been taken, really. In all honesty, it was, not trying to say the easiest catch you'd ever see, but it was there. He got both hands to it. Just spilt out.
That was a long break, wasn't it?
It was.
Still going on.
Well, it's been a season of long breaks, one way or another. We started with one for about 4 months, and of course now they have, certainly in Championship cricket, there has to be a sanitation break every 6 overs.
Some seem to be very quick at cricket. You almost blink and you miss them. That, I think that's as long a break as I've been involved and seen.
Stevenson in from the pavilion end bowls, and that goes through to Lewis McManus, and is that the end of Tom Wesley? Yeah, the catch is taken. Wesley stayed so long in the crease. I wondered whether he was going to go or not for a moment, but he's gone for 51, so the drop by Shahidi toward the end of the previous over is not greatly to matter, it would appear anyway. You never know, these things can go down to just the odd run here and there, but anyway, Wesley perhaps not helped by that long break. Caught McManus, bowled Stevenson, 51.
Yeah, breaks always bring wickets, that's for sure. Yeah, he didn't really want to go. I'm just wondering, there'll be 1 or 2 reasons of that. One is that he wouldn't have been sure, because it was a full delivery outside the off stump there from Ryan Stevenson, so he may just not have been sure whether the bat's hit the ground at the same time as the ball's gone past the bat or something like that, or he's thinking about walking off, but then he's got in the back of his mind that, oh, I wonder if the umpire knows for sure that I'm out as well, and is it worth staying there? So it'd be one or the other. But 95 for 2 it is.
And because Adam Wheater is missing for family reasons here, it's a big blow to Essex, because he's been in tremendous form this season in both forms of the game. And if you're listening, Adam, very well played so far. Hope to see you back certainly in time for the final. Hope all's well at home. And Michael Pepper takes his place, wicketkeeper batsman. Now, Michael did very well in his first appearance of the season in either form of the competition on Monday at Hove, but he's not a particularly quick starter. Eventually he did very well batting with Simon Harmer in the final partnership on the day. Wasn't the last wicket or anything. Stevenson's in and bowls, and this ball is turned round the corner by Pepper, and they're going to come back for 2 here, or at least attempt to. That's actually very well judged, as he took all the pace off the ball, whether deliberately or not is hard to say. It went towards mid-wicket. 3 or 4 fieldsmen all converged on the ball eventually, but they did well to squeeze 2 out of that and scored a 97 for 2.
Yeah, he's only a youngster, isn't he?
He
22
is.
years of age.
Yeah, he's a talented player. Probably not someone who's going to sort of lash the ball for 6 every now and then, or at least not until the very closing stages, but certainly did well to get 2 runs from that delivery as he faces the next from Stevenson. That's a good ball with really good bounce. Goes through to Lewis McManus, and he takes it sort of shoulder high, and dot ball, you'll gather, and Pepper remains on 2. Lawrence has only made 11 from 14 deliveries. Now, after 14 deliveries at Hove, I would guess he was already on at least 30 odd, maybe even 40. He made the most tremendous start, hitting a cascade of 6s. Not so today. Hampshire bowled well to him. Stevenson's in. Bowls to Pepper, and Pepper a searing drive here. Very nice shot, even though it was a little bit off the ground. This time they will only get 1 because he hit it too well for there to be a second run there. Out to Sam North East, patrolling the extra cover boundary, and the score to 98 for 2, and Pepper has 3.
Dino's tweeting again at Sonar Sports. Sorry guys, you say short boundary to your right. Where are you commentating from? Well, the Ageas Bowl initially. No, we're normally over the hotel end, which is the northern end of the ground, but during these COVID problems, we're in the Bransgrove Pavilion end.
And Stevenson bowls again. It's absolutely smashed back by Dan Lawrence there, and the big thump you might have picked up in the effects mic will tell you that that has hit something off the ground. 4 runs. Essex's 100 comes up. Not particularly quickly, you'd have to say. I think Hampshire has sort of kept the runs down pretty well since the end of the power play.
Yeah, they're like to on 1 or 2 more wickets, because that might still yet play in Essex's favour.
So Lawrence to 15, just his second boundary. 102 for 2, last ball coming of the 13th. That's fairly wide, and Lawrence just manages to reach out, get a bat on it, play it to cover. Again, North East will field, and the over ends. 13 overs gone, choosing to bat. Lawrence 16, Pepper 3, 103 for 2.
8 runs off Ryan Stevenson's over. And talking of Ryan Stevenson, Kevin Field back on the tweets at Sonar Sports says, great to see Ryan having a run in the side following his back problems and his injury at Radlett. Yes, just to fill you in, that injury in Radlett, of course, he careered into a metal pole in one of the semi-permanent marquees there, and had a horrible gash, horrible hole in his shin. But came back about a week, 10 days later, so he did well there. Although 28, he's really still developing, proper all-rounder, and I wish Hampshire would give him a chance with a bat. He's more than capable. That's right, got a maiden first-class half-century against Surrey at the Oval last year. Here's Holland back in the attack, and that's driven into the ground by Lawrence, and Holland fields on his follow-through, and there's no run.
I think Lawrence will feel it's now up to him to launch out here, because now there are only 6.5 overs left, and Essex, I would say, they've done quite well, but they're not ahead of the game for me at this point.
No, they're not out of sight, are they? That's for sure. As Holland bowls, it's short, it's slightly slower as well, and it's clubbed away out on the offside. A Freedy fielding in front of the tunnel here at the Ageas Bowl, and Essex move on to 104 for 2, Lawrence on to 17.
And it's one of those grounds here, it's a test match ground that had a lot of test matches played here. They never have dreamt, you know, a year ago that they'd be playing 3 tests here in one season, and very well done to the groundsman and the whole organisation, you know, to get them all on.
They've done well. If there's one gripe that's been here for a few years, as Holland comes in and bowls, and that's pushed just a few yards out on the offside by Pepper, good calling by Lawrence, 106 for 2, is that they feel this ground has suffered really by not having enough test matches. It's better than that. He deserves to have had more test matches. How ironic that it's had so many this summer, and yet people can't come in and watch.
Yeah, that's right. Just come back to that point in a moment.
Yeah, that's Holland bowling to Darren Lawrence, who's on 17. Holland from the hotel end. That's worked from straight out on the onside. Now, there's a lot here for James Fuller to do. They're running 2. They have to be quick. In the end, Fuller's a little bit off balance as he throws the ball in. 2 it is. Essex 107 for 2.
And of course they weren't expecting to play all these test matches, but Mark Ramprakash, whose comments I enjoyed when he joined TMS this year, I think he's very good, and he was asked, you know, how they might manage not to lose so many overs to bad light, and he said more powerful floodlights, and that might be helpful.
There you are. That's work down to Mason Crane on the 45. It's gone quickly, but they've still come back for a. They've still gone for a single. 108 for 2. Lawrence now has 20. Pepper back on strike.
And he wasn't being making a destructive comment at all. You know, he thoroughly liked the ground and enjoyed the cricket, but just felt that maybe an upgrade, which Essex have just had, you know, and it was much needed, I have to say.
Listen, I'm no electrician. Here's Holland. There's a reverse sweep, and it's one bounce to Crane. Didn't quite get hold of it, Pepper, but they've got a single anyway. 109 for 2. I'm told that actually the floodlights over a number of seasons actually start to dim a fraction. So overall, so they first put in, they've got so much lux. Yes. But over the seasons,
I'm sure that's true.
Lux gradually goes down. So I think every ground is probably experiencing that. But if any other electricians listening, and I'm talking an absolute load of rubbish, at Sonant Sport on the Twitter feed and tell me where I'm going wrong. But that's what I understand. Mind you, I do, before you actually do tweet, I do have a City and Guilds award, a certificate in electrical installation theory. So it better be good.
But it is only theory.
No, it is only theory. It was never put in practice, and to be honest, I wouldn't trust myself either, Paul.
Well, I certainly wouldn't trust myself. You'd be far better bet than me, that's for sure. It's going to be Chris Wood switching from his earlier overs at the hotel end up to the pavilion end here at this lovely ground at the Ageas. It's a big ground, and Wood comes in and bowls to Pepper. Pepper steps out outside off stump remarkably. It's well bowled by Wood because he follows the batsman. If he stayed where he was, but of course he wouldn't have bowled the ball in the same place if he'd stayed where he was. But the net result is it goes through to the wicket keeper, and probably Pepper would be better advised just to have a look at the ball before wandering 3 feet outside off stump.
That's hilarious, because I think, without exaggerating, he's actually standing in the crease and the wicket next door by the time he's trying to play the shot.
Here's Wood bowling to him again, and now I think that one must be a wide, and the umpire, is he actually going to give it? He is. So Billy Taylor signals the wide, and score goes up to 110 for 2 after one legitimate delivery of the 15th over, with Pepper on strike on 5 and Lawrence at the other end, on what by his standards has been quite a struggle to get to 20 off as many balls.
Yeah. I'm trying to work out which umpire's which. It might be Ben Debenham this end, actually.
Yes, it is difficult. Here's the next ball, and that has bowled Pepper, and Pepper departs for 5, and no offence to him whatsoever, but it is a big ask for a player playing only about his 4th or 5th T20 game to come in and force the pace where against a team who fought back well from quite a fast-moving opening partnership. And I'm expecting Ryan Tenduscarter to come in next, and he will need no introduction to anyone. He's one of the best hitters in any form of the game of cricket, and indeed it is he, even at the age of 40, still a fantastic player, coming out to join Dan Lawrence.
Yeah, 5th wicket for Chris. Sorry, 6th wicket for Chris Wood in this year's competition. From what you've said of Michael Pepper, Paul, I guess the most obvious question is why is he batting so high then?
Well, yes, one thing, it's hard to criticise Ryan Tenduscarter, but I shall still manage it. He's far too modest, and it is typical of him. When he was captain, and until last year he'd been captain in all forms of the game for Essex, and I always make the comment that if for some God's known reason I played for Essex one day, and you know, worst player ever to play for Essex, he'd still be there sort of saying, you go in 6, Paul, I'll go down number 7.
Oh, I see.
And you know, he's just defers to that of course is partly why he's such a popular captain, because he puts the team first. As Wood comes in and bowls to Tenduscarter, and nudges this down to 3rd man, typical Tenduscarter off the mark shot, single, 111 for 3, we're in the 15th over. But I mean, the hallmark of his captaincy, who's going to field at suicide corner? Give me the helmet, is Ryan Tenduscarter. Strap the old shin pads on, he will do the job that you normally associate with the rabbit in the side, you know, someone just playing their first game, 18 years of age. But no, Tenduscarter, leave it to me, and that's what's made him a great captain in many ways. Certainly his reign has been one of undiluted successes. Here is Wood bowling, and a nice tumbling stop at short third man prevents there being the possibility of a second run. They get just the one. Sam North East there, 112 for 3, with Tenduscarter on 1 and Lawrence with that single moving on to 21. But at the moment, boundaries aren't coming, no. Wickets are going down, and Hampshire, who perhaps were a little bit behind the 8 ball at one point, are now on my scorecard a little bit in front of it as Wood bowls. Tenduscarter can't time this. It was a good delivery, it cramped him for room. All he could do was play it back to the bowler. 112 for 3.
I just think sometime in the next few seconds, I guess, I might be doing an update for Sonnet listeners on the south coast. I don't know. I'm just looking at my watch. It would suggest if they are going to come to me, it'll be very near. Here, Essex are 112 for 3 in the 15th over, with Dan Lawrence on 21 not out. But Tom Wesley, the high scorer for Essex so far on 51, is a wicket each for Mason Crane, Ryan Stevenson and Chris Wood. Hampshire can't qualify for the knockout stages of this competition, but they are looking and playing for pride and a bit of form. Live commentary right now via the BBC Sport website and app.
And from the last ball of the over, Tenduscarter back cut it. His favourite shot was very well stopped by Sam North East at backward point. Come gully, really. He's kind of a cross between the two. And just the 1 run. And even that was in first-class cricket. They wouldn't have dared take a run there, really. But anything goes in this game. They brought it off without too much fuss. So Tenduscarter keeps the bowling on 2. Lawrence has 21, a very different innings from his free-scoring 81 at Hove earlier in the week. And 15 overs gone. 113 for 3, and I think actually, Kevin, the ball probably hasn't come onto the bat in the later over since the ball got a bit softer than earlier on.
Yeah, it might be a bit of that. Is Mason Crane 3 overs 1 for 19. I think a little bit is that as Tenduscarter just dabs that out on the offside for a single. I think, I mean, I'm looking at the board, and you're right. I mean, when you look at the Essex total, they had 83 after 10, and here they are starting the 16th with 114. They haven't had the acceleration that they would have expected. I think there's a little bit of that, Paul, but I also think there's a little bit of the fact that these two sides just never really got the competitions going so far, as that's driven up to mid-on by Dan Lawrence. He moves on to 22.
It's very interesting, Dan Lawrence's approach here. I would have expected him to be dancing down the wicket and trying to hit 6s. Now, it's a much bigger ground, as we said, than Hove was the other day, where he hit 6 6s. But even so, come back to that point.
Crane bowls, and that's hit hard down the ground up to deep mid-on, and that's well fielded. I think that's Ryan Stevenson down the far end there. It is.
Yeah, it's almost as if Lawrence has looked at it and said, I want to stay in here, and maybe they think that the score of 160, as you were saying, it can be a par score here. Might actually not be a bad score to defend here.
It might not be. That's driven down. Remember, Hampshire aren't exactly in the form of their life either. That's a lovely drive down the ground, and that's 4 runs. Beautiful shot down Lawrence. Moves on to 26, 120 for 3. Used his feet well there. I don't know, I just think it's very difficult sometimes when you've got teams playing this competition where they're not in great form, and sometimes to try and predict, you know, what's the norm, can sometimes be quite difficult, isn't it?
Well, it's true, and it's worth remembering that this game a year ago was a tie where both sides scored 139.
Yeah, not the hugest score, but under lights obviously it's a little bit different, isn't it? As it's turned away on the onside by Lawrence. I mean, we've got bright sunshine here and a good wicket and different conditions altogether as to what you get under lights, of course, late in the evening. 121 for 3 here with 1 ball left of the 16th. Mason Crane, 1 ball left of his 4th, and his final ball. This game has turned outside the off stump and past the outside edge of the bat of Ryan Tenduscarter, and a decent ball there to end Mason Crane's spell. 1 for 27 from his 4, but he turned a little bit too much.
Yeah, nice glove work as well from Lewis McManus there with the bails off, but Tenduscarter had his back foot over the line, but very well bowled. And Mason Crane, 4 overs, 1 for 27. All right, doesn't sound quite as good as his 3 for 18 at Chelmsford, but probably a better batting wicket than the one at Chelmsford was that day. Once again, he has been crucial really to Hampshire's effort between the 7th and 16th overs. Tell you that there's 4 overs remaining, and Hampshire coming right back into the match. 121 for 3. Will be pretty happy with how it's gone after Essex's quick start. Stevenson to continue. 1 expensive over to start with, bowled very well in his 2nd and 3rd overs. Here's the 4th, hit in the air. It's going to be 1 bounce down to deep backward point, and Lawrence moves on by a single, driving at that, going off the outside part of the bat. He moves up to 28 from 25 deliveries, 122 for 3. Slow going by Lawrence's standards, but
yeah,
he's still more used to Essex by the dint of the fact he's still there than if he sort of maybe hit a couple of boundaries and then got out.
Well, that's for sure, but you just feel that there's not as much momentum in this innings in the second half than there was in the first half.
Absolutely. Stevenson bowls to Tenduscarter, who tries to mow at this and play it through the offside, misses. It was a slower ball. Stevenson taking the pace off that, deceiving Tenduscarter, who's new to the crease. He has 4. Lawrence 28, 17th over being bowled. Essex chose to bat, and they're 122 for 3.
Quite a deliberate line that Ryan Stevenson's bowling here, isn't it? A good way outside off stump. He's got the insurance on the offside. Interesting fielding position. It's almost like a deep backward 45 on the rope.
Next delivery, and that's going to go over deep point, and 6. Goes about a yard over the boundary there, and beautifully picked up by Ryan Tenduscarter. Moves on to 10. The score to 128 for 3, and the point won't be lost on Tenduscarter that Essex could do with a few lusty blows like that to take them up. From an Essex point of view, I think they'd like 160.
Oh God, yes, at least, for sure. What a hit that is. You know, that is getting on for 70 odd yards over cover, and that's gone over the head of Sam Northeast. Admittedly, Sam Northeast 6 or 7 yards in. He has to be, because it's such a big boundary, but what a hit that is.
Well, you're right. He is the only English-based player to be selected 5 years running to the Indian Premier League, and it tells you what his stock was there, because you obviously have to buy these players at auction. As Tenduscarter has cracked this one without perfect timing out to Sam Northeast, whose work has been brilliant out there on the extra cover boundary. They get just the single. 129 for 3. Tenduscarter up to 11, and of course he was used as a finisher out there, and he is one of the best hitters of a cricket ball on the world circuit, even at the age of 40.
37 not out in the game at Chelmsford earlier between these two sides. Got, you know, it wasn't a winning score, Essex, but he certainly got Essex up to a decent total.
He was the only one really. As this next ball, Lawrence has got rather under this, but we're just waiting to see if it goes all the way or is a catch, and it's gone all the way, and that is 6. And I've seen him hit a cricket ball where it's literally going to go out of sight of the roof here when I say that he didn't get all of that, but it's still gone for 6. It's Lawrence, I beg his pardon, on strike there. 135 for 3, and Essex now clearly are in acceleration mode. He's moved on to 34.
Well, some couple of great strikes in this over, it has to be said, over the long boundary side, but they were the balls that were just a little bit further pitched up, I think, than Ryan Stevenson would have liked.
Here he is again. Ball to Lawrence, it comes down the wicket, almost turns this into a Yorker. He squeezed it down to long on, and Ian Holland, and they just get the single. Sorry, it's Mason Crane there, and scored to 135 for 3 at the end of the Ryan Stevenson over. Good over from an Essex point of view. There are 3 left, and they have 137 for 3, with Lawrence on 36 from 27 deliveries, and Tenduscarter has 11 from 9. Cameron Delport made 31, Tom Wesley 51, and Michael Pepper 5, with a wicket each for Mason Crane, Ryan Stevenson and Chris Woods.
BBC Radio Silent, BBC Essex, BBC Sport Online, and of course we're also on the live feed via the Hampshire Cricket website, and also that's being beamed straight through to the Essex Cricket website as well. Yeah, I think Ryan Stevenson, that last over, he tried to pitch it up and didn't quite get it far enough up there. The last delivery was much better, a bit fuller. Here's Holland, bowls, and that's a cutaway by Tenduscarter, but only as far as Weatherly at backward point. And we're in over number 18 here. So just under 3 overs left of the Essex innings, and they've been given a little bit of momentum now, haven't they? After 5 or 6 overs where, I don't know, it just felt as though they were treading water a little bit, really, weren't they? Relative to what
Absolutely.
Relative to the first 10 overs where they scored 80 odd. Here's Holland again, and that's foolish, and that's just dabbed on the onside by Lawrence for a single. Moves on to 37. It feels like he's just decided to just be a little bit more positive.
Yeah, it was well bowled, that, I thought, from Holland. The virtual Yorker. And Lawrence, who'd set himself for a big hit, but realised, you know, they just have to get some sort of bat on ball and rotate the strike.
On 39 for 3 then, as Holland comes in from that hotel end again and bowls. Slightly slower ball, just dabbed down to Crane at short third man by Tenduscarter, who moves on to 13 off 11. Lawrence back on strike, 37 off 28.
Good over so far from Holland, because just 3 singles, just when Essex had launched the innings with some momentum. From an Essex point of view, they desperately need these 2 still to be there at the end of the 20 overs.
140 for 3 then, halfway through the 18th as Holland bowls. Slower ball again, it's full and it's driven up to deep mid-on. That's come out the back of the hand there from Ian Holland, who's got 2 balls left of his spell. It's gone for 32 so far.
It's, you know, if Lawrence has correctly read the pitch and how things were looking, he's done well, even though it's a very different innings from his all guns blazing 81 at Hove.
He's still there. He's still got a couple of overs at least, hasn't he, to really make inroads, as that's cut away on the offside by Tenduscarter. Always scores off most deliveries he faces. The 40-year-old. He's playing, I looked at it before, he's playing his 368th T20 game this afternoon.
Knows a bit about it then, and you make such a good point, because although you think of him as a boundary hitter, but he's so good at just nudging the singles when he isn't hitting the boundaries. Just
to emphasise that point, it's been a single off every ball so far of this Holland over. Low full toss goes through the outstretched hands of Ian Holland, up to deep mid-off, it's going all the way. It looked like it come off the bottom of the batter, Dan Lawrence, but he still hit it with enough gusto.
Technically, you could almost say to the bowler, you should have caught that, but it was hit. It went past him so quickly that, you know, blink and you miss it sort of thing.
Liam Dawson's back. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. He must have had some good news from the doctor. Otherwise, I thought he wasn't going to come back. Myself and Liam will take you through, if you're on the live stream. In fact, if you're listening on the BBC Sport website as well, myself and Liam Dawson will take you through the break for 10 minutes. But he's back. Hopefully it's some good news, maybe something. Anyway, he'll be able to give us an update on his injury. 2 overs to go here. Essex 146 for 3.
Yep, so better progress from Essex in the last couple of overs, although that was, let it be said, a very good over from Ian Holland. I mean, it was just the 1 boundary from it, and that, if he wanted to be really picky, it would have taken a miraculous reaction to catch it, but it was in the air technically. I wouldn't have wanted to get my hands or any other part of the body in the way. 2 overs to go then. Essex, you would think here, will be disappointed if they don't now reach 160, but it's taken a long time on the wind-up before getting going. Here's Chris Wood to bowl from the pavilion end initially to Tenduscarter, and that takes a bit of the pace off the ball, which goes through. Might just have brushed something there, because it seemed to be down leg side, but no wide awarded.
Tenduscarter looks at Ben Debenham a little perplexed.
He's not the only one, but anyway, he must have his reasons. And Wood comes into bowl to Tenduscarter again. 146 for 3 in the 19th. Tenduscarter doesn't really time this. He's actually looking to hit the ball square on the offside. This coming back for the second. Direct hit there might have been close, but I don't know. I think Lawrence was probably home anyway. They get 2, and Tenduscarter, even at 40, is still quicker than most players on the circuit. He's moved on to 16, and Essex to 148 for 3. 4 balls left of the 19th.
Yeah, I think it's a little disappointing from a bowler's point of view that that's 2 runs up to mid-off. You can sometimes excuse away to our left because it's so big, but straight it's not quite so big. I think that's disappointing they got 2 there, and they've changed the field.
I think you're right, as this next one is slanted across the right-hander, who tried to follow it, doesn't manage to get back on the ball, and score remaining 148 for 3. So 2 dot balls out of 3 deliveries in this final over that Chris Wood will bowl, the 19th of the innings.
Yeah, I say change the field, they've just changed personnel. So James Vince has backed himself at deep mid-off now to try and keep that down to a single.
Wood on his way again, left arm over. Bowls, Tenduscarter's hit a full toss out into the offside again, not perfectly timed. Goes out to Ryan Stevenson, who in his attempts to get the ball airborne in the end didn't make it quite as good a throw as it might have been if he'd set himself, and they get back for a second. That's Essex's 150. It's taken them 18.4 overs to do so, and 150 for 4. I think a point we made earlier from an Essex point of view, they would have benefited if Tender Scouter had come in at number 5 rather than number 6.
Yeah.
But Tender Scouter, ever one to let a young player like Michael Pepper in ahead of him, and Wood will now bowl to Tender Scouter, who's made 18. Lawrence is on 42. That's another full toss, and it's hit just over the leaping short fine leg for 4. And that takes Essex to 154 for 3, and Tender Scouter up to 22.
Yeah, he's gone for the Yorker there, Chris Wood. Just done it there, and in the end, it's at a nice height for Tender Scouter to whip away. And he's doing it again, isn't he? Late runs, just as he did at Chelmsford earlier in this competition.
Well, if it is his last year in county cricket, which is generally anticipated it is, but I wouldn't put it past him to decide that he wouldn't mind one more. But he's certainly finishing it in good style as Wood bowls to him, and he's crashed this one, and that's going away. It might even be 6. It isn't. It's bounced a couple of times on its way into the rope in front of the scoreboard away to our right. There are 2 scoreboards here, and that one's at square leg as we watch from the pavilion end, and consecutive boundaries to end the over from Tender Scouter, who's gone on to 26 off 18 deliveries. Lawrence has 42 from 36, and Essex are 158 for 3 with 1 over to go.
And Chris Wood concedes 42 off his 4 overs with 1 wicket. That 1 wicket was Michael Pepper, whom he bowled for 5. Now, who's bowling the last over? It looks like Shaheen Afridi, who was quite impressive earlier on in the Essex innings. In fact, we haven't seen him, I don't think, since the power play. I think off the top of my head he bowled 3 overs, didn't he?
Overs 1, 3 and 5.
Yeah, so he's back on for Hampshire. I should imagine he's quite stiff after such a long break. His 3 overs conceded just 11.
And one of those was a wide. Yeah, terrific bowling. First over went for 3, second over for 1, and the third with 1 boundary in it, and it wasn't as if it was a bad ball. It was a lovely shot from Tom Westley, who met it on the top of the bounce. Just really nothing more than apparently a gentle push, went all the way to the cover boundary. Apart from that, there was no blowing anger whatsoever off Shaheen Afridi. It's been one of the highlights of the day for me to see him in the flesh for the first time here.
Switching ends to the hotel end then, bowling to Dan Lawrence, who has 42 off 30. What's going to happen in this last over? A few fireworks, I'm sure, from an Essex point of view. Hampshire were hoping to keep that quiet, but not on that occasion, as that's worked away behind square on the offside. Full delivery outside off stump, and Lawrence launched that away on the offside, and there's the 50 partnership between these two, and it's come off 29 deliveries.
Well, he is a talent, Dan Lawrence, because he can play shots with no great apparent effort that go a long way. And as I say, when he's in a bit of form, he's well worth watching.
So first delivery's gone for a boundary. Here's Afridi. He's round the wicket. Essex 162 for 3. There is a sort of a normal pass score here, but we need a few more here, as that's full, and that's driven out hard into the covers. It's picked up cleanly by Crane, keeps it down to a single on the short boundary side. 163 for 3. Tender Scouter back on strike.
So Lawrence, if he can get back on strike, needs 3 for a 50, and Tender Scouter 26. I think will be primarily concerned with seeing if he can add another boundary. Essex would love to get up to 170 here.
4 balls left as Afridi comes in and bowls to Tender Scouter, who works it away on the onside. They're going to run 2 here, I think. Fuller comes in off deep mid-wicket. They're already turning. The ball comes towards the keeper at a commentary end, and it's a comfortable 2.
Yep, as you rightly said, straight away they were always going to attempt the second there, and of course it's a big boundary away to our left, and it was always on, granted that 2 quick men between the wickets with a good understanding between them. We're in the middle. These 2 have had many a good partnership in both forms of the game, red ball and white ball.
So 165 for 3 then. Tender Scouter on 28. That's come off just 19 deliveries. Faces the next delivery from Afridi round the wicket, and that's just guided towards the third man, but there are a couple of fielders there guarding that area. Ian Holland, one of them, picks it up, and Essex will pick up just a single. 166 for 3. 2 balls left of their innings.
Hampshire's discipline with the ball has been good. No balls, therefore no free hits. Hardly a wide either, so the discipline's been very good. They haven't given anything away.
No, you're right. The run rate's just a fraction under 8.5 and over throughout this Essex innings. There's Afridi bowls, and that's worked out on the onside by Lawrence. Surely they're going to run 2. It's almost split the field. In fact, it has split the field really between North East and Fuller out there away to our left, and that is a comfortable 2 on the long boundary side. 168 for 3. Lawrence 1 short of a half century. Surely he will get it, because there's another ball left of their innings.
Yes, I think probably in this form of the game, players, unless it's 100 rather than the 50, are not that fussed. You know, if they'll take it if it sort of comes out, but they won't sort of deliberately farm the strike.
Lawrence with 80 in his last game. Looks like he's going to back that up with another half century here. With final delivery then of the Essex innings, bowled by Afridi, and he's not actually, because that's gone through to the keeper, and McManus underarms the throw back to the stumps, misses. A good delivery there from Afridi, slightly short. Lawrence tried to angle it down to third man, it missed, it bounced, so Lawrence won't get his half century. He stays at 49, and the Essex total stays at 168 for 3. Afridi finishes with 4 overs, none for 21, and Hampshire will need 169 for victory here. Ryan Tenduscarter finishes 29 not out as well.
Yeah, you know, it's another very good over from Shaheen Afridi there. It's gone for 10 runs, and you might think, oh, that doesn't sound too clever, but when you've got 2 batsmen who are among the best hitters in the game, looking very much to sort of take anything up to 20 off the final over, if you can keep it down to 10, if you'd any sense, you'd say settle for that and say well bowled, and I think it was well bowled by Shaheen Afridi. Lovely to see him playing for Hampshire here. Just 21 off 4 overs. Very good effort indeed. Mason Crane, I thought, as well. Excellent bowling from him, 1 for 27 in his 4. And generally, good tidy bowling, good tactical cricket from Hampshire. And Essex, after the start they had, in the end they have sort of made decent runs over the last 4 or 5 overs. As I say, if Tenduscarter had come in at the fall of the second wicket, I think Essex would have made another 10 to 15 runs, but they've got 168 for 3, and it's fairly close, isn't it? It could go either way, this game. It all depends if Hampshire can get a couple of players to get in there and stay in.
Thanks very much for the moment, Paul Newton. We're staying on BBC Essex frequencies as well. We're staying on the online feed via the BBC Sport website, and of course we're on the live stream of Hampshire Cricket and via the Hampshire Cricket app. Paul's going to take a bit of a break here, and back with me, alongside me, Kevin James, is Hampshire's injured all-rounder Liam Dawson. Any sort of further updates on that Achilles injury, Liam?
No, it's all good news at the minute. I'm obviously a month into my recovery now, so yeah, it's very positive. It's healed, the scar's healed very well. I'm just starting some strength work now in the area, so no, we're very positive. How it's going at the minute.
So was the doctor on the ground, or did you have to go and visit the doctor?
No, we have a doctor here every game.
Right,
so Mark Wotherspoon's his name, and he's been around the England team for a number of years, and we're lucky to have him here as our club doctor as well, so he's brilliant at what he does.
Right, let me just read out the full Hampshire bowling figures for you. Shaheen Afridi, his most economical figures to date in this competition: 4 overs, none for 21. Chris Wood, 4 overs, 1 for 42. Ian Holland, 4 overs, none for 37. Mason Crane, 4 overs, 1 for 27. Another good spell from him. And Ryan Stevenson, 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 40. I know you missed a sort of a fairly large chunk of the middle of the Essex innings, but 168 for 3. I know when you left, you would have thought they might have got a few more than that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, without doubt, but I think it shows the nature of this ground. I think a winning score is 163 over the years, and I think it shows why such a strong power play helps your middle order, because it's a ground where after the power play it's hard to hit boundaries, it's hard to try and keep up with the rate, because the nature of the size of the ground that you'd like to get 200, it's hard to do that. So I think 168 is a pretty good score from Essex.
Paul Williams just tweeted, he said, hope you had good news, Liam. I think that might just have come just before you just explained the doctors thinking when you were with him. Think Essex may be 10 short, thinks Paul Williams. Need a good power play though. 10 short, I suppose he's basing that on the 182 Hampshire hit 2 days ago.
Yeah, and also, yeah, it's all going to come down to the power play. It's going to be the first 6 overs. If Hampshire can get off to a flyer, you can kill the game early in that power play. So they'll be looking to get 50 for one, and if they manage to do that, then they should be in with a shout to win this game of cricket.
Just to run through very quickly the Essex card. Cameron Delport, 31 off 22. Tom Wesley, 51 off 37. Michael Pepper, just the 5 off 7 deliveries. But that partnership at the end, Dan Lawrence and Ryan Tenderscarter, they came together in the 15th over when the score was 110. Lawrence finishing 49 not out off 34, and Tenderscarter 29 not out off 20 deliveries. He keeps doing that, doesn't he, Ryan Tenderscarter? Just comes in with runs. He's difficult to get out as well. No,
I mean, he's proven again that age is just a number. He's extremely fit. You can see the way he finish innings. He's running 2s to the big boundary, and he still looks a proper athlete. So there's no reason why he couldn't carry on playing for another year or two. And Dan Lawrence, it looks as though we spoke about Dan Lawrence, didn't we, before the game and that. And I don't know. It was Paul Newton was saying that in a way, having got 80 in the last game for Essex and sort of was a lot more aggressive down at Hove, perhaps wasn't quite so much so here. I mean, you got to look when he came in as well. I think he probably came in just after the power play or at the end of the power play, and as I said, to come in here with the field back, it's hard to take those fielders on, so he'd have probably thought that he'd have to give himself a little bit more of a chance. I think he stands up on 49 off not many balls, so he did a great job, and he was a player at the start of the day that I was looking forward to see play, because he's completely changed how he plays his T20 cricket. He's quite aggressive.
Yeah, that's 49 of 34 deliveries, 4 4s and 1 6. I'll bring you up to date with the England score. If you're taping it and you want to watch later on or something, or you want to watch the highlights, then just turn off for the moment now, because I know some people get a bit funny about it. But in the one-day international, England against Australia, bit of a recovery actually, because England lost early wickets, didn't they? They've got 168 for 4 now in the 34th, and Johnny Bairstow is 90 not out.
Yeah, what a player, isn't he? I mean, he's one of the best in the world. And I think it's going to be a good game. I think there's been fairly low scoring at Old Trafford throughout the whole series, and the way Australia collapsed the previous game, England will know that if they get a score on the board, they can really put pressure on that Australian middle order.
Sam Billings following up his 100 the other day. He's 33 not out, so giving Johnny Bairstow some good support. And there's one other blast match going on right now. It's also in the South Group. Middlesex 184 for 6 off their 20 overs, and they are playing the Kent Spitfires. A little later on this evening at 6:30, Glamorgan take on Somerset in Cardiff. Also at 6:30, the Yorkshire Vikings take on Durham at Headingley, and also at the same time, Surrey take on the Sussex Sharks at the Oval. Here at the Ageas Bowl, Essex 168 for 3 off their 20 overs, looking to put together 2 wins from 2 after beating Sussex down at Hove in their last game, and Hampshire looking to avoid a 5th straight defeat. In fact, they've lost 5 from their last 6. You mentioned about the power play, Liam. Obviously an important power play. It's going to be slightly different because we haven't seen George Munsey in a Hampshire shirt for a little while. In fact, not since the second game against Essex at Chelmsford. So maybe a little bit more firepower up top. But I'm just thinking, Sam Northeast looks as though he's in a bit more nick now. James Vince. So I don't know. I would, if I was in that order right now, I would think, well, actually, at least there's 2 or 3 players ahead of me that actually are in a bit of form. So will that, in the dressing room right now, will that sort of help? Will help some of the players in the middle order?
Without doubt, I think any firepower at the top of the orders is how you win T20 games of cricket. Getting off to quick starts, killing run chases in those first 6 overs is a big part of being a successful 2020 side. So with Munsey coming into the team, we talked about his strike rate of being 160 in his career so far. So if he can get off to that sort of start, as I said, he could kill the game in his first 6 overs in this power play.
Yeah, Hampshire needing 167. Of course, it's a few lighter than a couple of days ago when they hit 182. I guess the one thing that sort of slightly concerns me is that Hampshire by far and away batted the best they've batted in this competition, scoring 180. I know it's a few runs less than that, but you do feel that once more they need to pull something out of the bag, something they haven't really been doing in this competition.
And let's not forget, you know, it's always easy to post a score. When you bat first, you're under a lot less pressure than when you are when you chase. So chasing, you're always under a lot more pressure. That's the nature of the game. So, you know, this is going to be a tough chase from Hampshire. It's not going to be easy at all. But I think the key is Munsey and Vince at the top of the order in these first 6 overs.
Yeah, we saw Mason Crane get 1 or 2 to bite, just a little bit. Obviously, Essex have Harmer. They've got Nijar, but finger spinners rather than wrist spinners.
Well, I think Crane, he's had another exceptional day. He's gone for less than 7 over. He's picked up a wicket. And I said he's a wrist spinner, so he will spin the ball. And to be fair, he's probably more attacking than what Simon Harmer is in white ball cricket. He's obviously a phenomenal red ball bowler, Simon Harmer, but he's not a bowler in T20 cricket that, you know, would be a big, massive wicket taker unless conditions really do suit him. So I don't expect it to be a huge amount of spin going into this second innings, but, you know, I'm sure that Harmer will bowl from that pavilion, from the hotel end, and he's going to be very hard to hit into that long leg side boundary.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Harmer's economy rate in this competition. It's getting up towards 7 3/4. Which again isn't bad, as it's from a spinner point of view. And Nijar, his economy rate is just a fraction under 9. So, you know, they both haven't been smashed around, that's for sure.
No, they haven't. You've got to forget they also bowl at Chelmsford as well, 50% of their home games, where, you know, it's an extremely tough place to go and bowl spin. So, you know, they're two good bowlers, but, you know, they're not 2 bowlers that are going to bowl you out. They're only going to get wickets if you really do take risks against them in white ball cricket. So it'll be interesting to see how Hampshire go about that. So I'm looking forward to see what happens.
We'll allow Paul Newton the first 6 overs off of this innings, if that's all right. He's given me the thumbs up. I'm sure if I said 12 overs off, he would have given me 2 thumbs up, knowing Paul. But BBC Radio Solent, BBC Essex, myself, Kevin James, and Hampshire's injured all-rounder Liam Dawson will take you through the first 6 overs here. Then Paul Newton will come back. Liam can stay on for a little while, and then you can go off and enjoy yourself, which is great. So we're also on the BBC Sport website, of course, bbc.co.uk/cricket, and also the live stream via the Hampshire Cricket website. That's also being streamed via the Essex Cricket website, and another way you can watch and listen, you can download the Hampshire Cricket app, which is free, and our commentary will match up with the pictures as well. So George Munsey back in the Hampshire side will face the first delivery. James Vince, the captain, at the non-strikers end, and they will be hoping to get Hampshire off to a decent start here as they chase down this 169 for victory. And the first over for Essex is going to be bowled by Nijar, we've just been talking about, in the left-arm spinner. He's over the wicket, bowling from our commentary end, and he just bounces a bit there to Munsey as it's played out behind square on the leg side, and there's no run.
How long before a reverse sweep from George Munsey?
And it's to the short boundary side, isn't it?
He's got every chance of clearing that boundary there. I mean, it's not very big. One of his strengths, huge strength of his. So I think it's a shot that he will go to, you know, I think in this over.
Interesting, isn't it? I'm not sure Essex have really set a feel to it. Maybe they can't in the power play, but they'll be aware of it, I guess, because Munsey is known for it. There's the reverse sweep. It's gone in the air. It's a top edge over the top of the keeper. It's safe. It's going down towards the boundary at the hotel end.
It's got 4, I think.
It has. It's a huge top edge.
It's a bit of luck in that. I mean, we called it there. He's going to go to his reverse sweep, and I think if Nijar's done his homework on Munsey here, I think you've got to look to go sometimes a little bit quicker and a little bit fuller to try and get under the bat. And, you know, you've got LBW and Bowl comes into play, knowing that he's going to play a lot of reverse sweeps and sweeps here.
So 4 on the board for Hampshire. The ball's back in Nijar's hands. It's a big hit for Munsey out on the leg side, so you would think he won't be trying that quite yet. There's another one. It's a full delivery. It's gone hard on the 45 to the fielder. He was a bit unlucky there, actually.
Unlucky, but I think that's the perfect ball that, you know, that I'd be looking to bowl at this stage of the game. Not every ball, but that ball there, you're going to go for a quick Yorker, and you're bringing all modes of dismissal in. So it's clever bowling from Nijar.
I don't know if that's Matt Quinn down there, I don't know, but it's a long way away. There's another reverse sweep. It's in the air. Oh, it's caught.
Oh, my good Lord.
What a catch. Diving one-handed, and my word indeed, That is a super catch from Sam Cook, I think that is.
How's your luck, George Munsey? That's a phenomenal catch. Who is that again, you said?
I think it's Sam Cook.
Sam Cook, from a seam bowler as well. I mean, that's an unbelievable diving catch. I mean, he's hit it hard, flat with a reverse sweep, and that's one of the best catches you'll see in this competition.
He did enjoy it, is Sam Cook. Wow. That's about as extended as you can get.
If you can watch a replay to that, hopefully the stream shows it. That is one of the best catches that you'll see in this competition.
Wow. Well, there isn't a stream fee, but if you had to pay for one, it was worth it just for that.
It certainly is. But again, Hampshire, don't mind the intent there from Munsey. We talked about having a good power play, and that's one of Munsey's strengths. He's looking to put the bowler under pressure straight away. So it's one of his percentage shots, and it's took a phenomenal bit of fielding there to take a wicket. So all credit to the Essex bowler and Essex fielders.
Yeah. 4 for 1 then, Hampshire. That's interesting you say that, isn't it? Because I think that's the one thing amongst your teammates, that if you've got out doing something you don't actually practice or you're not actually known for, then that's a little bit...
Yeah, it's poor, isn't it? I mean,
it is,
you're probably letting the team down a little bit there, but I think the reports you hear about Munsey, that reverse sweep is no different to him playing a slog sweep or James Vince playing a cover drive. So it's one of his strengths that he finds a very, very easy shot to play. So there's no... as a coach there and as a batting coach, you're saying, do you know what, you've played to your strengths there, but it took a bit of brilliance in the field to get you out.
I doubt Sam Cook has taken a better catch, but somebody might tweet me at Sonar Sport and say, well, actually he did on this certain day, here, there, whatever. 4 for 1, North East is the new batsman for Hampshire. Oh, he's nearly bowled there. He's playing just outside the line. I think that's gone between bat and pad, and it hasn't missed the off stump by very much.
No, I think Sam's played for a little bit of spin there, and it's either an arm ball or an undercutter that hasn't spun. So again, credit to Nijjar. It's an excellent start from the left arm spinner.
It certainly is. Here he is again then, as North East just pushes forward out square on the offside. So a good start from Essex as they look to defend their total of 168 for 3. Munsey has gone for 4 in that first over, and Nijjar's first 6 balls conceding just 4 runs. And that 1 wicket to his name as well. Just watching the Sam Cook catch again as well. My word, he enjoyed that, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't say that's once in a lifetime, but it's probably once every 3 or 4
probably
seasons.
Is for a bowler.
Actually, probably is. Yes, I was trying to be kind to him, actually. I'll tell you what, I'll just say what I really was going to say.
That's the one
once in a lifetime.
On a cold day, you pretend to dive there. You sort of try and get a fingertip to it, but so it's just a bit too far away and goes to the boundary before. But on a hot day, it's a fantastic catch.
That is absolutely brilliant. Jack Plom looks like the new bowler for Essex. Now, that is a new name to me. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before.
I haven't come across the lad, no. I guess he's a young lad, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And it's obviously another, good something positive out of this summer, that a young player's getting a go that probably wouldn't have played with cold packs and full overseas here this summer.
He's a right arm seamer, and that's down the leg side. Oh, they're asking for a caught behind, and he's gone. Oh, Vince has gone, and he doesn't look particularly pleased with that. He may have thought that's brushed the thigh pad, and he's looking at the square leg umpire as well. And well, maybe Essex got a little bit of luck with Sam Cook's catch. Maybe they've got another little bit of luck there again. And Plom has picked up the wicket, caught behind by Pepper. And Vince goes first ball for no score.
It doesn't look a great decision, that, from Billy Taylor. From up here, it looked like it was probably thigh pad to the keeper. And James Vince obviously very, very disappointed walking off the pitch. But I think it just shows that you need luck as well in this format of the game. And when you're not playing well as a team, sometimes out of form as a batter, these little things certainly go against you. Teams take brilliant catches, you get unlucky decisions from the umpire. And that's just the way it goes. And I think, if you're a team in form, that reverse sweep would have gone over Cook's head, or a drop catch, or that down the leg side there wouldn't be given out. So sometimes you need a little bit of luck.
Well, Jack Plom, maybe that's the biggest wicket he's taken so far. He's only 21 years old. He's from Basildon, and this is only his 3rd T20, having made his debut earlier in this competition. And he's only played 1 first-class game as well, and that was against Cambridge MCCU back in 2018. So he hasn't got a lot of first-team pedigree. I think it's fairly safe to say that's his biggest wicket to date.
It is. James Vince is a huge wicket, isn't it? Yeah. But as I said, if you're a Hampshire batter, you'd like to have known, if you're playing this game, you're doing your homework, and you know that he hasn't played much cricket. So he's a bowler that you can still target in this power play, even after losing 2 wickets early on.
Yeah, it's Weatherly, the new batsman for Hampshire. That's on the line of middle and leg, and that's tucked away to deep backward square, so Weatherly's off the mark straight away.
Yep. If I was a coach now or a captain or playing, the situation that we're in, I don't want to see us go into our shell and be 20 for 2 off the power play. I'd rather us go out there, be 40 for 4 and just give it a good go. We've got nothing to lose, I mean, we're out of the competition, and let's go out on our own terms and try and put some pressure back on the bowler.
Yeah, that's a good point. As Plum comes in again, and just a bit of extra bounce there, which just tucks Sam North East up a little bit. In fact, maybe a little bit of extra pace. He just took the face and stuck his bottom hand off there a little bit.
I think it's, like you said, did him for an extra bit of pace.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Certainly no demons in this wicket. It's an absolute belter, as we talked about at the start of the show.
It's an interesting. 168 is a decent score. But when you lose 2 early wickets like that, it's a good point you make about almost not going into your shell a bit, because actually it's going to leave far too much for the later
especially
batsmen.
Here, middle order coming in, the rate builds, it's very hard.
Yeah, that's pulled away by North East, backward of square. That's 4 runs. Super shot, just helped the ball the way over the line.
Yeah, it's a poor delivery, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't really a bounce, it was a nothing ball banged into the wicket, just to the left of Sam North East ribs, and he's helped it behind deep square leg for 4. Certainly a good point you make about you don't want to be getting too far behind the rate after the power play, because we talked earlier, it's such a hard ground to come in and keep up with the rate with the size of the boundaries. Yeah,
you can't rely on James Fuller to come out and bang it around for another unbeaten half century in virtually no deliveries at all. But here's Plum again, and North East just guides that down to third man. Run the first one quickly. And that's fielded by Tom Wesley, who's down at third man.
Played nicely today, didn't he? Wesley, he got 51 off 39 balls.
Yep.
Played really nicely.
Certainly did. Obviously likes opening the batting in this competition. 10 for 2 then, Hampshire. Munsey back in the pavilion. Vince back in the pavilion. 4 between them. And Vince was out first ball, so that'll tell you how many months he got. Here comes Plum again, bowls, and that's pushed on the leg side by Joe Weatherly, no run.
Again, it's as a middle order player now, you don't as a number 4, you don't usually get many opportunities to have in the power play. The amount of time that we have, we've got 4 overs now of the power play with North East and Weatherly, so it's actually quite nice knowing that you only have to play good hard cricket shots, and you really do get rewards for your shots that will go to the boundary. So they can hopefully stay positive and put this left arm spinner under pressure still.
You must get a little bit fed up though, because the one thing now which is happening with the Hampshire batting that wasn't happening 3 or 4 seasons ago is wickets are falling in the power play, and they're falling early on. It's not really giving you guys a base at all, is it? Here's Nijjar. I'll come back to that in a moment. He's bowling to Sam North East, and North East cuts that and misses. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. But also, I'll be looking at it as, if I was batting now, coming in and the middle order, with the power play now, it's such a nice time to bat. You have to just play good cricket shots, and you get so much reward for your shots.
Especially on a pitch like this. North East gets a fullish delivery, which off the bottom of the bat works its way up towards deep mid-on. And that'll be a single fielded by Paul Walter, who wasn't required to bat today.
He's done well for Essex. Even in Championship cricket, I think he's opened the batting
he
this
has,
year, and he's sort of gone from a bowler to a batter who's now, I think, more in red ball cricket. He's trying to turn himself into an opening batter, and he's gone fairly well this year.
Yes, he has. Yeah, I know. The BBC Essex guys were saying that Nick Brown a bit out of form, and Walter's been promoted up the orders. That's pushed back to the bowler by Weatherly. No run there.
I didn't realise Nick Brown was. I thought he was injured, but I didn't know he was out of form.
I think he was out of form, Nick Brown, wasn't he? That was originally. Yes, it was. Yeah, Paul's just nodding there. He's enjoying his few overs off here at the moment. As that's turned away on the onside by Weatherly. There's nobody at deep mid-wicket, and that ball could go all the way, and it does. Nice. I'm quite surprised, but I shouldn't be, because it's the power play, of course. You can only have 2 men out. I'm so used to seeing a deep mid-wicket most of the time. And
that's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, that is no risk in that shot whatsoever. He's hardly hit it. He's picked the gap, and it's gone for 4. And that's the intent that Joe Weatherly and Sam North East need to keep up for the next 3.2 overs.
Yeah. Weatherly, who's averaging 22 in this tournament, top score of 68 down at Canterbury in the rain-affected game. That's going down the leg side. He's trying to sweep it away on the leg side, is Joe Weatherly, and stunted appeal. But
that's something else I don't like. I don't like talking about averages in 2020 cricket, because I think your strike rate is so much important. If you look after your strike rate, your average will look after itself.
That's fair enough. Point taken. Thank you, Liam, for ticking me off. That's pushed out towards... mate, I'm only joking. That's pushed out to extra cover. End of the over. 3 overs gone here of the Hampshire reply. They are 15 for 2. In fact, no, you're right, actually. I mean, I suppose reading it out, you think, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, you look at what Lewis McManus did the other day. He got 15 off 6 balls. You know, in that situation, he's come in and done such a good job for the team. But you get to the end of the year contract meetings or stats or whatever they want to decide to do, and you actually look, he's only averaging 12 or 15 here, but the job he's done for the team of getting those 15 runs over 6 balls, so he's done an excellent job. So I think if you try and, I think to be a successful, you know, it's something I'm trying to improve is my strike rate. I find I've struggled with that, especially here. But I think if you look to be positive and make your strike rate better, naturally you play more aggressive.
Yeah. And
that looks after your average. Yes, you might get out a few times, but also you'll have more match-winning games and match-winning innings trying to play more aggressive and with a higher strike rate.
Yeah, because, I mean, batting middle order, you're never going to have a huge average, are you? That's for sure. Plum is going to continue from the hotel end, down the leg side, a similar line that was bowled to James Vince, but North East doesn't get a touch on that, even if James Vince did, allegedly, and it's gone for a wide down the leg side.
That's Quinn, isn't it? Matt Quinn.
Oh, is it Quinn? Sorry, it's Quinn.
Change
Sorry,
of bowler.
Apologies. His right arm over, that's what confused me.
It's a long way away.
I know, just tell me about it. They look like pins out there. 16 for 2, not quite, but we are a long way away. So Matt Quinn into the attack, right arm over. Running from just inside the 30-yard boundary. Bowling to Sam North East. Comes in and bowls, and North East cuts and misses. Goes through to keeper Michael Pepper.
Again, nice pace in bounce there. He's a tall bowler, so he's naturally probably going to bowl a little bit shorter. When he goes fuller from facing him, you know, in the past, he's a little bit more floaty. But when he does sort of bowl that length there into the wicket, he can get the ball through.
Certainly does. Quite tall, New Zealander. Qualifies with a British passport. Comes in again, runs towards us. And bowls to North East, who just guides that to backward point, but there's no run there, no gap there. Fielded by Cameron Delport. So this is tough here for Hampshire at the moment, is that they've been rocked by those 2 early wickets. Muncie and James Vince, they were 4 for 2. They're not much further forward here at 16 for 2.
If you look already, the run rate's over 9 and over, and that's going to build very, very quickly. If we don't look to finish this power play strongly.
It's built up, from just below, what was it, about 8.5, wasn't it? 8, somewhere around there. Here's Quinn again, bowls, and North East guides that up through point for 4 runs. Just enough width for North East just to hit those hands through the ball. Times it nicely.
Yeah, it's a fantastic shot, isn't it? Effortless from Sam, little bit of width from Quinn, and Sam's punished it, so that's brilliant batting.
North East moves on to 10. Yes, there were signs that Sam North East was getting back into form in the last game here. 37 off 28 balls against Kent. So 20 for 2 here. North East is on 10. Run a ball 10.
You can see a field change now. I think he's realised that it's a fraction of width, so he's decided to bring third man up and put deep mid-wicket back. So he's probably going to look to bowl slower balls into the pitch and get hit to that big boundary on the leg side.
So here's Quinn then, bowls, and that straight has cut away, but straight to Delport again, who throws the ball at the bowler's end.
Excellent shot, wasn't it? Again, slower ball from Quinn. Sam gave himself a little bit of room and slightly unlucky to hit the fielder. But good signs from Sam. He's middling the ball nicely.
There's 4 fielders from, I wouldn't even say extra cover, it's probably more cover, but sort of extra cover-ish through the 45. There are 4 men patrolling that area on the 30-yard circle. There's not a lot of gap between them. Maybe North East might have a bit more luck later in the over. Maybe this delivery as it's bowled, and North East goes aerial on the onside bounce, is just in front of mid-on. Just.
It's the ideal ball, I think, that he wanted there. Nice. It's probably in the slot, and the intent was brilliant. Just a bit unlucky not to hit out the middle of the bat. But I wouldn't say it was a great ball, and the ball Quinn was looking to bowl there.
No, Paul Walter it is at mid-on. Tall figure. And North East not quite out of the middle of the bat, as Liam Dawson says. He's on 10 still. 20 for 2 here, Hampshire. Still needing another 149 as Quinn comes in and bowls, and North East goes aerial, and he's taken this time. Again, he couldn't quite get the elevation that he wanted, and that's a good catch there from Walter. Took it about chest height, and North East goes for 10, 30 for 2. Sorry, 20 for 3.
I think you just need a little bit of luck. I mean, look at that dismissal. I mean, probably 3-4 yards either side, and that's going to go to the boundary. He's hit it hard, and he's just picked the fielder out, so a little bit unlucky from Sam North East there.
So North East goes for 10, and he joins George Munsey and James Vince back in the pavilion. So Hampshire's job of overhauling the Essex total of 168 for 3 has just got a whole lot harder.
It has, and it's changing the batting order as well. It was, I think Fuller came in the other day. McManus has batted 5 before, but it looks like Ian Holland is coming out at number 5. So I'm guessing from that move, they're probably saying potentially just sit in the game a little bit now. We've lost 3 wickets, and sort of Holland can sort of just bat for maybe 4 or 5 overs and maybe try and get a partnership.
So you don't think with 2 overs left of the power play and the form that James Fuller's in, that actually it was worth him coming out?
Unless Hampshire are now thinking that we've got to try and take the game deep and backing Fuller to do what he did the other night, which is very, very hard to do consistently.
Sure.
But I'm sure they would have potentially spoke about that in the change room. So it'd be interesting to see why Holland has come out now. So
4 overs gone, 2 overs left of the power play, and Hampshire in disarray again at 20-3. And as Liam Dawson says, it's had a little bit of luck's not quite been on their side, but all credit to Essex. They're putting pressure on Hampshire early on here, as there's a reverse sweep there from Weatherly. It's gone very fine, and it's gone past the diving fielder, and that's going to go all the way. That's 4 runs for Joe Weatherly. It's
a brilliant shot. I mean, from a bowling point of view, that would really frustrate me. To get beat on your inside there from a decent ball, I think you'd have to be a little bit finer. So the angles are probably slightly wrong there, because as a batter, it's sort of a free shot with any pace on the ball. As he's actually going finer now.
Yeah, I think that is Paul Walter still in that position. Here's Nijar again, then bowls. He just follows Weatherly, who just slightly outside of his leg stump, but guides it to backward point, and they'll pick up a single. Weatherly moves into double figures. 25 for 3. I've got an update to do for silent listeners in about 6 minutes, Paul, so it might be worth me just staying on for another 6 minutes, and then when I've done that, Paul Newton will come on with Liam Dawson, if that's all right. And Dawson will stay with us for a little while, and then he can go off and do whatever he wants to do.
Oy.
That's turned away on the leg side by Ian Holland. He's off the mark. 26 for 3. You got excited there.
Yeah, good ball, wasn't it, from Nijar, sort of back of a length straight. And it's a good job Holland got back on that, because that would have been a very close LBW call.
Certainly would. 26 for 3 then. Weatherly back on strike here in the sunshine of the Ageas Bowl on the south coast. As Nijar bowls, and whether he comes down the wicket, it's in the air and it's safe. It's gone through mid-wicket. That's 4 runs.
Again, excellent from Weatherly. I mean, the intent that he's showing here, and he's playing such low-risk cricket. Such a low-risk shot coming down and hitting it wide of mid-on. So that's brilliant batting, especially losing a wicket the over before and being 3 down. To be brave like that in pay percentage cricket is superb to see.
Especially with 10 off the over. I just momentarily got worried because it was in the air slightly, but I was worried about Harmer at mid-wicket, but perhaps I shouldn't have been. It was a good shot, as Liam Dawson says. Weatherly's on 14 then. 30 for 3 now, Hampshire. Need 139 from here as Nijar bowls, and there's attempted slog sweep on the onside. It's gone off the pad on the offside. Maybe an inside edge onto the pad, because Weatherly's going to be credited with a single. 31 for 3.
Yeah, again, good bowling from Nijar, followed him. He's got 1 ball left here, needs to get out the over, so ideally he'd like to bowl at his hip and get hit to the leg side.
He's done well, hasn't he? Because he's bowling to the short boundary side with the right-handers in, and that's turned away nicely by Ian Holland behind square. Only a single though, and that will be...
He's been excellent, isn't he? I mean, he's bowled 3 overs in the power play, he's got a wicket, and he's only gone for 21 runs, so it's exceptional from Nijar, the finger spinner.
He's got nice flight as well, hasn't he?
He has, he's varied it nicely. He's gone a little bit slower, and then when he's realised that he's potentially in a little bit of trouble and the batsman might lining up, he's gone a little bit shorter and quicker into the wicket to try and get hit on the leg side. So he's done brilliantly and offered a lot of control for Simon Harmer in that power play.
BBC Essex, BBC Radio Solent, BBC Sport Online, and also the live picture feed via the Hampshire Cricket website and the Essex cricket website. You can match up the pictures with our commentary. I'm Kevin James, Liam Dawson next to me. Paul Newton from BBC Essex will be on in about 3 or 4 minutes time or so. This is Sam Cook. Sam Cook into the attack then, right arm over from the hotel end, and bowls, he's turned bowled. Straight away he's got a wicket as Holland was looking to work that away on the onside. Full delivery. Holland deceived. I don't know if he picked the delivery up. I was quite surprised it went through. He goes for 2.
Yeah, it looked a pretty normal delivery, didn't it? I'm not sure it did much off the pitch. I think Holland's probably just missed a fairly straight ball there. So credit to the bowler though for hitting the stumps. You're always in for a chance if you can do that.
So Sam Cook joins in the Essex party here at the moment, and Hampshire have made an awful start, it has to be said, here at 32 for 4. Maybe George Munsey was unlucky when he was well caught by Cook at backward point, reverse sweeping. Maybe James Vince was unlucky. Maybe he did get a nick down the leg side. Maybe he didn't. He went for no score, but Hampshire now a 4 down here, and well, James Fuller is in. If we were debating whether James Fuller would come out in the power play or not, well, that's killed that debate because he is coming out. There's nobody. I wouldn't say there's nobody else left, but he's had to come out.
No, I mean it's going to be very, very hard for Hampshire to win this game now. 137 runs to win, and yeah, they're hugely up against it.
How did Hampshire win it from here then, Liam?
Being brave, I think. I mean, there's no point in losing by 30, 40 runs. You just got to back yourself and keep taking risks. I mean, the rate's going to be nearly at 10 and over soon, so there's not much time to get yourself in.
No. I seem to remember you coming out in situations like this a few times. Here's Cook, bowls, and Fuller gets that on middle and leg and just turns it away on the leg side. And
I think if we're smart, I think we haven't got to target this end. That's a huge boundary, but certainly whoever comes on to this end to bowl, it's the run rate required. It's certainly we're going to have to target this boundary with the runs per over required now.
Sam Cook's playing just his 3rd T20 game of this season, and that was his 4th wicket. As he's bowling to Joe Weatherly here, and Weatherly gets wrapped on the pad as he's trying to turn that away on the leg side. No run.
I think it's such a tough format to get back into form, T20 cricket. I mean, if you're out of form in the Championship, you have no pressure of scoring runs. You can feel like you can bat for 2 hours and face 60, 70 balls, and that's how you get your rhythm back. But even 50 over cricket, you have time to get your rhythm back. But T20, if you're out of form, it's the hardest game to get back into format.
Cook again from that hotel end is full on leg stump, and Weatherly works that on the 45. The throw comes in, and Matt Quinn throwing the ball at the keeper's end, but single it is. Weatherly moves on to 16, 34 for 4. No, you're right, isn't it? I mean, it's the footwork's needed and the confidence of moving outside leg stump and playing across the line. If you're not picking the ball up very well, then it's
extremely tough.
Here's Cook again then, this time to Fuller, short, and Fuller's trying to pull that away on the leg side. Called wide by umpire Billy Taylor at the far end.
I think the biggest thing is you probably start fearing your wicket, which I think we certainly have been doing. Looking at today's dismissals, it doesn't seem that we feared our wicket. It's probably just the execution, and that's what's gone wrong. But it's certainly not a format of the game where if you start fearing your wicket, you're going to be successful. You've got to be brave all the time, whether you're in form or out of form.
Yeah. That update's coming up shortly for silent listeners this hour. That's down the leg side again from Sam Cook. He started the over well, but stuck in a couple of wides here. So 36 for 4.
Yeah, I mean, if Hampshire fans are going to be obviously very, very disappointed with this how this campaign's gone. But it's not for the want of trying. The lads are trying their hardest to win games of cricket. We obviously want to win games, but I think as a group we'd admit we're not playing well enough at the minute, and we're way below where we should be.
Cook bowls, that's straighter. Fuller works that straight to mid wicket. No run there. 133 from here. Yes, it's a tough call with the rate going up all the time. It's nearly 9.5. Liam.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you've got to give yourself maybe an over to get in as a new bat, and then you've got to look to go, pretty soon.
Well, if anybody can attack that score, it's James Fuller, who's one of the few Hampshire batsmen that is in form, as he turns that away behind square on the leg side. Runs the first one quickly. There won't be 2 as Quinn moves quickly around to deepish square leg. That's the end of the over. And 6 overs gone, so that's the power play gone. And I'm afraid it hasn't been a good power play for Hampshire. Good one for Essex. 5 runs off that over. Hampshire 37 for 4.
Yeah, without doubt, it's been Essex day so far. I think Nijjar is going to continue for his final over. He's been brilliant. He's bowled the tough overs. He's bowled 3 overs in the power play, and he's going to complete his 4th now. He's 1 for 21 at the minute, and Simon Hahn will be over the moon with the job that his left-arm spinner has done for him.
Certainly. It's bowled quite nicely from this pavilion end. He's going to be bowling to James Fuller at the start of over number 7. This update's coming up shortly, and then Paul Newton will come into the chair alongside Liam Dawson. Fuller's just looking around the field. 3 men out on that short boundary side away to our right, and Fuller drives up towards mid-off, and that will be just a single as Ryan Tenduscarter comes in off the deep mid-off boundary. 38 for 4. So this update's coming up now. Yeah, Liam, just hang on for a moment. I'm just waiting for this update. Nijjar round the wicket to Joe Weatherly. He's just taking his time here. Don't know why. Perhaps looks like Ryan Tenduscarter's going slightly wider at deep mid-off. Nijjar bowls and Weatherly pushes it back to the bowler. Is he out caught and bowled? I think he might be. And Weatherly goes. Just pushed out at that. And the ball just carried to Nijjar. And Weatherly looks so disappointed. He goes for 16. And Hampshire, if they weren't in disarray before, well, they are 38 for 5. Is probably the best way I can describe that. I don't think I really need to say any more than that. 38 for 5. And that looked a fairly soft dismissal. Caught and bowled Aaron Nijjar. And all I can say is please don't switch off. This game might look over, but we're going to do our very best to still talk it up and talk as though Hampshire can still knock off this 131 runs, or at least get this game close. But you have to say, from what we've seen so far, this has probably just about summed up Hampshire's T20 season. I will get Liam to make a comment in a moment, but I know that they're going to come to me in a moment, so they can't. In fact, they are coming to me right now. So here we go. I'll try and talk up my best here for the listeners. I'm afraid that it's not a great Hampshire batting performance here. They started their innings needing 169 for victory, but I'm afraid they are 38 for 5 here in the 7th over. Gone as George Munsey, James Vince went first ball, Sam Northeast has gone, Ian Holland, and now Joe Weatherly has been out caught and bowled. So Hampshire struggling here, 38 for 5. Live commentary right now via the BBC Sport website and app. So I'll do to the end of the over. And you've got licence now, Liam, to give your verdict on that last dismissal.
Probably a soft dismissal. I mean, neither really here or there, and just chipping it back to Nijjar. But he's deserved his wicket as he comes into McManus, full toss. Excellent fielding there by the seam bowler Sam Cook. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Nijjar, as I said, he's been excellent for his captain. He's bowled the tough overs, and he's deserved his 2 wickets for 22 runs. He's been brilliant.
Nijjar again, and he's trying to work that away, and he's bowled. Oh my word, McManus goes now. Now, did that straighten a fraction? I'm not sure. It was fairly full, and McManus tried to work that on the onside, and he's gone for no score. And Nijjar and Essex, they're all over Hampshire.
I mean, that's not a great ball at all there. I mean, I think Lewis could have hit that wherever he wanted to. A drag down, and he's probably tried to be too nice to it and just clip it into the leg side, where actually it deserved to go for a boundary. So that's poor cricket from Hampshire. Not a great ball at all from Nijjar, but he won't mind. He's got 3 for 22 off his 3.4 overs so far.
Well, I tell you what, I think we better get Paul Newton in pretty quick, because by the time he comes on, the game's over. 38 for 6. And, oh my word, it's horrible from a Hampshire point of view. In fact, I will come off. Because I think it probably is time for Paul Newton to come in and he can gloat. Paul.
Yeah, I'm quite good at gloating. And may I say, very well done to yourself taking all those wickets. I've never taken so many in such a hurry. You can come again. But at least Liam here can claim to have a foot in both camps, having had a little interlude with this. Was it about 2015, Liam?
It was, yeah, and I loved it. You know,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I was thankful of Essex, to give me that opportunity and play some cricket. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time down at Chelmsford. It was brilliant.
Well, it was good having you there. Here is Nijjar, who's had a terrific afternoon here. The ball's played out into the covers by the latest of several new batsmen. This one being Chris Wood, who's joined James Fuller, 38 for 6.
If there's ever a time for Chris Wood to get a 50, his first one, I mean, this is the time. He's got 13 overs to try and get one.
So Nijjar to complete a terrific spell. 2 wickets off this over and just 1 run conceded. It was 37 for 4 when he started. Dot ball down to mid-on. It is 38 for 6 at the end of it, and a spell of 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 22.
No, he's been brilliant. I mean, that's a man of the match performance, isn't it? He's bowled 3 overs in the power play, the hardest overs you can bowl, and he's bowled 4 in a row, which is, in 2020 cricket, to do that and only go for 22 runs is exceptional. So, you know, for me already, he's man of the match. Yeah,
very good points indeed, and I feel there's a much better shape to Essex. First of all, as we were saying when we were last on together, Liam, that for me, I like Tom Wesley opening rather than batting at 3 and enabling Lawrence to come in first drop. And secondly, Nijjar, who's hardly played for Essex, his only game last season in this competition, or any competition, was finals day. As we see, little matter of Simon Harmer coming into the attack at the hotel end, and they get single out to deep mid wicket, 39 for 6.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Essex this year, but I mean, playing against them over the years, I think when Wesley opens the batting, I think that's a better for him as a player.
Yes.
You know, he's a fantastic player, so yeah, I think him opening the batting is the way to go. Nijjar, I've obviously found a good combination with Simon Harmer. It's obviously tough to bowl double spin at Chelmsford sometimes because of the nature of the boundaries, but I mean, away from home, from what you've seen today, he'd play all the time.
Harmer is in. Bowls, and this ball's just played by Chris Wood. I
guess it's tough though for Nijjar because you've had Adam Zampa as your second spinner, so you know you're never going to go to Chelmsford and play 3 spinners. So he's probably got in the way, but again, Zampa's a world-class bowler.
Harmer's in bowls, this ball played back, and Harmer, in addition to being a sensational bowler and no mug with the bat, has enormous hands and is a quite brilliant fieldsman. He's excellent, more so in red ball cricket. You know, he's the best in the country, and he has been for a number of years, and he's by far the best off spinner by a mile. As the next ball is hit in the air, but beautifully timed. That's a lovely shot from Chris Wood through extra cover for 4 from the moment it left the bat, 43 for 6. Yeah, I mean, Simon Harmer, going back to Simon Harmer, you talk about off spinners and who's the best. He is the best. I mean, his control, the amount of wickets that he gets, and he also bowls in a 3-man attack in 4-day cricket. You know, you have 3 seamers and then him. So that's a great effort to do that in England. Harmer's in bowls, and this ball's just maybe off the pad, but we won't know because they don't get a run. It remains 43 for 6. Harmer is also an amazing catcher of the ball at second slip, incredible reactions, hand-to-eye coordination. But as you say, he's got something like 230 odd wickets in 4 seasons at Essex, and that's including this season with such a foreshortened season. Single here down to long off from Chris Wood as he moves along to 44 for 6. But surely Essex have broken the back of this Hampshire batting in the power play. Yeah, they did. I mean, that was interesting delivery from Harmer there. It looked like he bowled a leg spinner. Yeah. Wasn't an off spinner, so it's something that he's obviously been working on, which is credit to him, especially in 2020 cricket. Whereas if you can take the ball both ways or have a little bit of deception, that's a fantastic thing to be able to do. Well, Essex back in the day, that's the end of that over, 44 for 6 with 8 overs gone, target 169. Paul Newton here with Liam Dawson, mainly formerly of Hampshire, but also Essex for a brief spell in 2015. Kevin James will be rejoining us in due course, who of course was a very distinguished Hampshire player back in the era when Graham Gooch would be among his adversaries. And I saw Kevin James ruin an afternoon for me once by getting Gooch out. I've never totally forgiven him, but he's ever such a nice fellow. As Cook, Cook comes in from the pavilion end and concedes a single first ball, and the score to 45 for 6. And really the pattern for the innings was set when in the very first over George Munsey reverse swept Nijjar, and Sam Cook using that overworked expression already, rose like a salmon at square leg and plucked the ball out of the ether. And really, when that happens, I think you do slightly feel maybe it's not going to be our day when you lose a man to what would normally have been the 4 or even the 6. As here's Cook in and bowls, and that ball goes over the wicket-keeper's head, probably go down to, well, I was going to say to the boundary, but it'll just be cut off. Deep third man there by Quinn, and in the end, they get back for a couple. And Fuller has 4, Wood has 6. It's 47 for 6.
I mean, Essex are going to have their minds on the Bob Willis Trophy final, aren't they? I mean, good to see them in it, because, I mean, you know, two of the best sides are there, Essex and Somerset, 2 of the most consistent sides in 4-day cricket that have been the last 2 years. So, you know, a lot of these players will have their minds on that.
Cook's in again. And bowls, and that ball's punched into the offside, very well stopped by Cameron Delport in his traditional position at backward point, where he saves lots of runs. He too has got very good hand-to-eye coordination, pulls off some fantastic stops there. 47 for 6.
Also, you're peaking at the right time in this competition again.
Well,
surely not going to sneak in the back door?
Well, you'd think not, but I'm just beginning to wonder, I have to say. Because they are looking very much more on it now than they were until that win on Monday, as Cook's in bowls. And this ball is hit powerfully into the onside. It may have bisected 2 fieldsmen. And no, it's gone for 4.
Unlucky.
It was unlucky because the ball was almost stopped, but parried into the legs of the second man running round and just hits the boundary. So 4 runs there, and the Hampshire 50 comes up in the 9th over. But there's an awful lot of work to do before they can think of reaching 169 to win.
I think the game's done, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd think so. Cook's in again. Bowls to Fuller. Fuller smites it down the ground. Brilliant bit of fielding at mid-off. And it's that man again, Simon Harmer. The ball was past him, and he snakes out a hand. And it's not just he stops it, he nearly always comes up with the ball.
That's brilliant. I think it's actually a no ball as well. So
I missed that, thank you.
So Fuller's got a free hit here, and he'll certainly be looking to target this leg side boundary. Cook probably going to look to bowl to a wide Yorker, but it's a brave ball to bowl with mid-off up. Obviously, you can't change the field because the batsman didn't cross. I mean, the umpire's just pointing that out, that Delport was going to go back onto the ring, but he's obviously not allowed to do that from the position he was the previous ball.
Yes, Cook's normally the soul of economy, but having got a wicket with his first ball today, he's just been rather expensive. A couple of wides and a no ball. Here's a free hit, and that's not going to go to the boundary as it's played out to deep square leg. Jack Plom and well fielded, again a single there, and the score moves along to 54 for 6. Fuller has 11 and Wood on 6.
So where's Jack Plom from? Haven't come across him before. Is he academy graduate?
Yes, he's another one of those that Essex producers you well know from your time with the club. They're very hot on the academy, and it was virtually his first game the other day when he came and bowled very well at Hove. As here is Cook again, bowls a little bit on leg stump, and he's in some ways a little bit fortunate there because it takes the batsman on the pad, they get a leg by, but had the batsman stepped inside the line and let it go, it would have to have been a wide with an extra ball to be bowled. So slightly loose over there from the normally very economical Cook, but I think he's done his work for the day. That sensational catch, as good as anything I've seen all season. Admittedly, it's a reduced season, I know. 55 for 6 at the end of 9.
Yeah, I think Simon Harmer is continuing from the hotel end. It's going to be tough for the Hampshire batsman, you know, to hit to that long side. Your probably best option is looking to hit it hard in between deep mid wicket and deep mid on, flat, and try and hit a 4, because to hit a 6 it's going to be a great effort.
Yes, just coming back to a point you were introducing a moment or two ago, and the Lord's final next week as Harmer comes in, begins a new over, and Wood tucks the ball off the pads for a single. That makes it 56 for 6 with Wood up to 7. But as you say, Somerset and Essex, the two leading sides of the last 2 or 3 years, and the benefit of Harmer, as you touched upon, is he comes on about the 8th over and never comes off again. And the 3 quicker bowlers just rotate around him in 6 over spells. Bring you in after this ball, which Harmer is about to bowl to James Fuller.
Leg spin.
Yes, a little bit of leg spin there, and swatted away for a single to take the score to 57 for 6, and Fuller moves up to 12.
I think you're right. I mean, to do that in England as well, especially when you're playing a lot of your cricket in April, in May, in September, to only play 3 seamers and back him to be, you know, as Harmer comes into bowl,
pulled away from Chris Wood to Dan Lawrence in the deep for one. Yeah, you know, to come in and only play 3 seamers and then Simon Harmer to hold and end up in the first innings like he does is credit to how good he is.
And of course he bowls, he does a great service to the quicker bowlers because they're never having to bowl more than about 15 overs in a day. Here's the next delivery from Harmer, and they're going to steal a run into, well, I say steal a run, it was lobbed into a huge gap in the leg side, so much so that the bowler himself, who's Mr. Everywhere, Simon Harmer, does the fielding and scored to 59 for 6 in the 10th.
I think you know with him that, you know, first innings what you're going to get, he's going to hold and end up, but you know as soon as there's a little bit of spin, even a tiny amount, he exploits it, and you know he gets match-winning fifers a lot of the time.
He does, even in first innings he does, as this ball is belted out to Plum on the cover boundary, and the score to 60 for 6.
He'll be licking his lips as well. It's a 5-day final.
Yes,
so you know he's got day 5 rough to potentially bowl into. So yeah, I think he'll love that challenge.
Yeah, certainly will. I think he loves all challenges as he comes in again here. Bowls, and this ball has been belted back, hits the non-striking batsman, I think, there, and they go through for a single, and well,
he's all right, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Hit him flush, but I mean,
Chris Wood
he seems all right.
Should have collapsed in a heap on the floor, but my word, they've bred him tough. And he shows no reaction whatsoever. 61 for 6.
Hit him straight in his dad bod.
Bowler probably says to him, catch it next time. And 61 for 6 at the halfway point. Oh, sorry, we're not quite at the halfway point, or are we? Yeah. Yes, we are. 61 for 6 after 10 overs. Target 169. And there'd still be a reasonable chance if the likes of North East were still out there and there were 2 down, but 6 down, Essex are going to have to bowl very poorly in the second half.
I'm not sure Essex can lose, can they, from this position? You know, 11 and over. You know, Harmer's still got 2 overs. Exactly. The use of Lawrence as well, who's also very, very effective in this format of the game. He'll be bowling from the bigger boundary end if he does come on. So, yeah, I mean, they shouldn't lose this game of cricket.
Well, Simon Harmer's captain of the Essex side in T20, as Paul Walter comes into the attack for the first time, left arm round from the pavilion end. Bowls, and this ball's just nudged into the onside by Fuller. They think about coming back for a second, but probably wisely decide against it. 61 for 6, 10.1 overs gone, target 169. Now, how about this for a piece of captaincy? At Hove the other day, roughly halfway through the innings, good partnership going on of 50 odd, and Harmer introduces Dan Lawrence, who takes 2 for 3 in the over, gets both the not-out batsmen out. Thank you, number 3. Never seen again. So Walter's in bowls, and this ball's belted through the covers for a single. 62 for 6.
I think Dan Lawrence is an underrated bowler. I've faced him before, and he's better than a part-time spinner. Yeah. He gets the revolutions he gets on the ball and the dip that he gets and the pace that he bowls. He should certainly look to bowl a little bit more. Obviously not going to be able to bowl because of Harmer and Nidjar and Zampa, but going forward, he's certainly better than a part-time bowler.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. As here is Lawrence in again. Bowls, and this ball's been hit up in the air. It should be caught at mid-wicket, and is. And so I'm afraid a 7th wicket goes down. James Fuller is gone. You can't blame him really, because the game's at a stage where, as you were saying earlier, Liam, you might as well perish bravely rather than just hang around and block out a few overs. But it was the easiest of catches, and he departs for 15, and Hampshire are 63 for 7.
Yeah, there's, James Fuller there. What else is he meant to do? I mean, he needs 11 and over. And he's tried to do exactly the right thing, so there's no blame at all on him there. Very, very hard for him to come and do again what he did the other day. So it's another dismissal, 6 down. I think Ryan Stevens coming in now, and it's good experience now for Chris Wood and Ryan Stevenson. Haven't really batted much in T20 cricket in their career, even though Chris Wood has played a lot of cricket. So use this as a net now for these two out there in the middle, and and just try and enjoy being able to bat some time, which you don't usually get as a lower order batsman in this format of the game.
So caught by Nidjar, who's had some afternoon out there one way or another. 3 for 22 with the ball, and that really broke the back of the Hampshire batting early on, with a bit of help from the likes of Sam Cook and Matt Quinn, as Walter comes in again round the wicket, bowls to Stevenson. Oh, there's a bouncer. That ball was shifting a little bit, and well directed as well. No, in fact, it's been signalled as a no ball there. So 65 for 7 will become the score. I just wanted to say on the subject of Dan Lawrence, if I'm ever interviewing him after a game and he's got quite a few runs, he's matter of fact, expects to bat. I always know how to drag some humour out of him because I mention his bowling and his eyes light up. And he absolutely loves bowling. He doesn't get many chances, but as you say, he's a lot better than people might think. Walter bowls, and this ball's been hit in the air but safely. Couple of 2-3 bounces, in fact, out to deep cover. A single, 60. Well, I don't think they've put the no ball runs up there on the board yet, so I think that should be 66 for 7.
Going back to that no ball, it frustrates me as a cricketer that it shouldn't be a no ball, because it's 2 runs. I mean, you should be able to bowl a good bouncer as a seamer. T20 cricket is, it's in the batter's favour more times than not. And I mean,
and it was a good bouncer.
Yeah, if you're being punished 2 runs. If it's 1 run, fair enough, but certainly not 2 runs.
Walter again. Bowls, and there won't be a run here as the batsman attempts to drive that one past mid-off, but just holds up a little bit on him and doesn't get the timing, and Stevenson remains yet to get off the mark. Wood is on 11. Still no sign of those runs going up on the board for the no ball. But I think the umpire now is trying to draw the scorer's attention to that, because he clearly did signal a no ball.
Not sure it's going to make any difference, is it?
No, I don't think so. As Walter comes in around the wicket, bowls, and Stevenson's edged. If there'd been a first slip there, I half expected to see the ghost of Alistair Cook loom up and swallow that, but not so. And score remaining at what I think should be, well, now in fact 70 for 7 in my book. Now, ironically, I think they have now put they now have got that no ball up. So we're right again at 70 for 7 at the end of a successful introduction into the attack for Paul Walter. And I can imagine that Dan Lawrence will be trying to attract Simon Harmer's attention. We always call it his frog in a blender style of off-break bowling. It's a fascinating action he has.
It works, though, doesn't it? I mean, it's unorthodox, but it certainly works. So it doesn't really make a difference what it looks like. I mean, when he comes on, he does a job, and that's the main thing. I think, you mentioned Alistair Cook there. I mean, what a player he's been.
Oh,
he's one of those players when, growing up, you watch him, you think, what a legend. And to be lucky enough to play a couple of games with him, you sort of look at him and think, this bloke is a legend of the game, and it's outstanding how good he is.
Harmer's in, begins a new over, bowls, and Chris Wood a single down to deep backward square leg, and he goes to 12. It's 71 for 7, and Kevin will back me up. Alistair got 129 not out at Arundel, and after a slightly sticky start, he really did bat beautifully. You could see why he's been such a legend. And what I couldn't understand, Liam, in his Test match special days, he did the first 2 tests of the summer. Just break in because Harmer's already on his way back in again. Bowls to Stevenson, who gets off the mark with a single to long on. 72 for 7. Target 169. We're in the 12th over. And Johnson Ageas, strangely to my eye, spent all his interviews saying, why are you still playing, Alistair? What is there in it for you, having played Test cricket? And typical down-to-earth Alistair, just because I love playing down there, I'm used to... They're my mates at Essex. This is played into the covers, there's no run.
I can completely get that. I mean, he's an Essex lad. He's been so good for England, and in his international career, he would have hardly played for Essex for a number of years. So.
As Harmer's in again, bowls. Playing a miss here. And Harmer, the bowler, doing the batsman there. 72 for 7. Wood's on strike.
As you said, he's playing with a lot of his mates. Tenderscarter, Wesley, Lawrence, and obviously there's some more there. So he probably wants to give a little bit back to Essex, and winning a championship is very special for him.
And this ball probably going to be a leg by. In fact, I can see the umpire shaping to signal it even as I speak. So leg by, 73 for 7.
But also, I think when you play against him, the hunger's still there. Yeah. Like you said, he wants to get runs. He's very professional. And if you're in that Essex changer and you've got Alistair Cook walking out to bat, it gives such a boost for the team. And there's no wonder they're so good in 4-day cricket.
He's still Essex's best batsman.
Not surprised at all.
Leg wide, I should say there, so 74 for 7.
If you score that many Test runs, and probably half of his matches are in England on tough pitches a lot of the time with a Duke's ball, he's still world class.
Harmer bowls again, and this ball inside edge has gone past fine leg, and it tends to run away for 4 here once that is the case. And 4 runs onto the board, a welcome boundary, 78 for 7, coming to the end of the 12th over. Indeed, that is the end of it. And Stevenson has 9, Wood has 12, the target 169, 8 overs left, and still a further 91 runs needed for Hampshire victory, which would be improbable, but these two are doing their best. Yeah, just finishing off the point, Agnew persevered and tried to say, well, what if you're keeping a good youngster out? And Alistair very cleverly said, well, if I notice one and I think I'm keeping him out, and if I think he can score more runs than I can, I will give way. But I couldn't understand Agnew, because Agnew played with Gooch, and everybody knows that Graham Gooch will have said to Alistair, and don't forget, you know, the moment you finish with a test match, hurry up back to Chelmsford and resume your county career, as Walter begins a new over from the pavilion end, and a swish outside off stump, no run, 78
You could chuck Alistair Cook into a test match now,
yeah,
and he'd still do well. You know, that's how good he is. So I mean,
yeah.
It's nonsense for anyone to say about is anybody in the way of him. You know, he's an absolute legend of the game. He's fit. He's probably fitter than anyone in county cricket. Looking how fit he is.
Yes, he's looked after himself.
You know, he plays when he wants to retire. It's up to him, nobody else.
Walter's in, bowls another flay and miss, and goes through to wicketkeeper Michael Pepper, 78 for 7. And I think the only reason Alistair gave up Test cricket is not because he didn't think he could do it anymore. It was the relentless touring abroad. Their family just about to have a third child. Without
doubt. I mean, you know, he'd have been away from home for what, 10 or 15 years continuously, and you know, at some point you've got to put your family first. And you know, he still likes playing cricket. That's why he's still playing for Essex.
Walters in, bowls again. There will be no run. Another massive attempt to hit it by Wood, but it only goes a few yards into the offside. 78 for 7. And to show you Cook's appetite for the game and his love of the game, the innings before Somerset played Essex in the Championship decider last season, Cook was out for 5, playing for Bedfordshire Farmers.
Was he really?
Yes. As
incredible.
Walter comes in, and another flay and a miss. 78 for 7. We could have a maiden over here of flays and misses.
Oh, I've actually lost track what's happening here at the minute.
Yeah. But I interviewed Alistair after the match was drawn at Somerset and Essex won the title, and Alistair played beautifully, 50 in the first innings, not out in the second. And I said, well done, Alistair, you didn't actually come into this game in the best of form. And he got the point. He said, no, you know, it was, you know, only 5 for Bedfordshire.
Brilliant.
He's a terrific fellow, because he's never lost a sense of humility.
No, he's a good man. Good player, good man.
Wonderful player. And of course, born on Christmas Day, and what a Christmas present, I suppose you could say. As here's the next delivery, and well, this time it is connected.
This is going to be a maiden, isn't it?
It is. Played only straight to mid-wicket, Aaron Nijjar, and so Walter now is within one delivery of an extraordinary maiden. Nobody has tried to hit him harder or further for a whole over with such little result.
He's having just a net in Nicholas Wood now.
Yeah.
He's 12 off 24 balls. Trying to whack it and getting nowhere near it.
So here comes Walter again, round the wicket to complete the over. And there it is, it's the full set, ladies and gentlemen. Another flay and a miss. He did hit one of them. And we're going to hand back to Kevin James. Lovely to meet Liam Dawson. Thanks ever so much, Liam. Thoroughly enjoyed your company and your contribution there. And great that you enjoyed your, albeit brief, time with Essex back in 2015. Fondly remembered there. 78 for 7 up on the board now, with 7 overs left for still 91 runs to win, and actually that neatly works out at 13 runs and over. But with Simon Harmer to bowl the first of them, it's not going to be easy, as we welcome back Kevin James.
Extraordinary over that last one. Absolutely. Paul Williams at Sun Sport. I'm working through a few tweets actually. He says too many wickets falling to average deliveries, he says.
Over to you.
That's a drive in the air, and he's dropped at extra cover, but that was a tough chance. And that might be Sam Cook.
Yes, he got both hands to the ball. I thought he'd hold on to it, but
yeah, maybe just a fraction out of his reach, but a good effort. I thought the George Munsey catch was out of his reach when he managed to hold on to that one.
Sensational.
So I suppose you're not going to hang on to those catches every day, are you? Every time they go in the air. 79 for 7. Then here's Harmer. Bowls to Wood, who gets hold of this one, and it's gone high in the air, and that could be going all the way. Yes, it is. Well, having struggled to locate the middle of the bat in the previous over to Paul Walter, that certainly came out the middle of the bat off Simon Harmer, and that's over deep mid on for 6.
85 for 7.
Yeah.
And a very, very good blow indeed. Mighty blow there, because it had a lot of height as well as, but just had the distance as well.
It's Harmer again, then gives himself some room. He's down the leg side. Half shout for a catch down the leg side. Harmer followed Wood there, but no run. James at Solent Sports says, just when I came off my commentary earlier, I said, don't worry, please don't switch off. I said, no, when I was talking about, we'll try and make this game sound closer than it actually is. As that's driven to mid-wicket. James at Solent Sports says, don't worry, Kev. I won't be switching off. He says, I'm enjoying every moment of the commentary this afternoon. Just a shame you appear to have hung up your microphone for the day already. Slightly premature, James, I think, because here I am back. And that's pulled away on the leg side, but missed, as that ball just goes past the off stump.
Well, Wood is making the most tremendous effort to hit every ball for 6 here, and didn't do him a lot of good in the Walter Maiden, but it's one lovely connection in this over.
Harmer bowls to Wood then, and we'll pulse that away in the air. Now this could be called at deep mid-wicket. It's on the long boundary side, and he's caught right on the rope, and Wood goes. He goes for 18 off 30 deliveries, and Hampshire are 85 for 8.
Yeah, it always looked as if that would fail to clear the rope. I think it would have done if there hadn't been a fielder there. I think it would have gone for 6. But as you say, right back on the rope, I think that's Dan Lawrence down there has made light of it. And Hampshire lose their 8th wicket. It's 85 for 8. And for these last 2 games, Essex, the champions, who look so completely out of it. For first 6 games this season, it was indeed Dan Lawrence. Wood goes for 18. These last 2 games, Essex have looked like the side, I can see how they won it last year, which they totally didn't earlier in the season, including when losing to Hampshire at Chelmsford. And we nearly had the most extraordinary coincidence in that game at Chelmsford, because here last year, 12 months ago, or even I think 13 months ago, both sides scored 139 in a tie, and with 2 deliveries left at Chelmsford earlier this season in August. Again, Essex have made 139, Hampshire were on 139, but they got the winning runs on this occasion. So, but as I say, it was 2 balls away from being not only a tie for the 2nd year running, but with exactly the same scores for each side. But 85 for 8 does mean that Essex are pretty much as good as they're now.
Yeah.
Walter, following his maiden the previous over, or Walter Ryan Stevenson. And this won't be a maiden, but he'll begin with just a single out to deep extra. And Dan Lawrence, and the score goes to 86 for 8. We are in over number 15, and Hampshire look to have an impossible task with 83 more needed and just 9, 10 and Jack left, with Stevenson being 9, 11 not out, and Crane yet to face a ball, and just Shaheen Afridi to come as Walter comes in, bowls to Mason Crane, who waits for the ball, slower delivery. It's dabbed down to 3rd man. Well fielded down there by Matt Quinn, with coming very quickly to the ball. Nice throw, just a single. Score up to 87 for 8. Crane off the mark.
Paul, you remember that in the first innings we were talking about updating lighting. Mark Ramprakash apparently said about, if there's poor light, then the grounds can update lighting. I've got something on that.
Here is Walter. Bowls. The ball is hit without timing down to mid-off. Simon Harmer fields the single inevitable. Stevenson to 12, 88 for 8.
I said that, I thought that, floodlights do deteriorate after a while. Di Davis, at Solent Sport tweeted a little earlier. He said he's tweeted me something from official pamphlet. Following regularly used lighting systems will normally suffer a deterioration in lighting performance, typically in the order of 15 to 25%.
Here's a slower ball against, run down to 3rd man. That'll be 89 for 8 to Crane to 2.
So there we are.
Yeah, so you're bang on.
Thank you very much.
You can perhaps change the degree in theory to and limited practice, according to Di Davis.
Yes. The game's going nowhere when we're talking about lighting systems.
Yeah. Yes. Funnily enough, we don't need the lights at all at the moment. It's the biggest light of the lot is up there shining brightly as the next ball is clobbered up in the air over Harmer's head, and that'll run down 2 or 3 bounces over the long off boundary. The bowler's Walter and the batsman Stevenson, who moves up to 16, and Hampshire in the 15th of the 20 overs, 1 ball left of it, are 93 for 8, still needing a further 76 for victory.
Yeah, top shot that one. Richard Vaughan at Sun Sport. I was talking about Jack Plum's wicket of Vince. We said that was his best wicket of his career so far, fledgling clearing.
Walter bowls, last ball of the over, and this ball's hit out to Lawrence in the covers. They get a single. 94 for 8 at the end of 15, so 75 needed off the last 30 deliveries.
Richard Vaughan says Jack Plum's wicket of Vince was his only wicket in his career, in brackets, so far. So technically, you could argue it's his smallest wicket, if there is such a thing, because I said it's probably his biggest wicket so far. So Richard's trying to put the argument the other way.
Yep. Well, you know, I was used to say to my father, you're the best dad I've ever had, but I do have to point out you're also the worst.
So here, at a sunny Ageas Bowl, Hampshire are 94 for 8, still needing another 75, but with 5 overs remaining and just 2 wickets in hand. It looks like Essex will be gaining their 2nd victory in a row in this T20 competition, and sort of keeping their faint hopes of qualification alive, but they are relying on other results as well, of course, to go their way. England are 273 for 7, by the way, in the 48th against Australia in the one-day international.
Anyone get many runs there?
Johnny Bairstow was on quite a few earlier. 112 he made.
Oh, very good.
Here's this is Plum, isn't it? And
yep.
Short ball outside the off stump. Attempted cut out on the offside by Stevenson, goes through to keeper Michael Pepper. 57 for Sam Billings. Yes,
he's been one of the more successful players this season after a sort of strange career where he's sort of been in and out, but it's good to see him doing well.
Took his chance the other day, didn't he, with 100?
Yep, no, it's fine now.
Losing cause. So Plum right arm over. Bowling from that hotel end. He's in his 2nd over here. Good first over, 1 for 6. I mentioned, of course, the wicket of James Vince. Comes in again. Bowls, and that's clubbed away over deep mid on. It could be out, and he is, and that is the 9th wicket.
Looks like Matt Quinn down there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was just trying to identify him, but I think you're right. He's been fielding out there for a while. Stevenson goes for 17. Hampshire 94 for 9.
Yes, he's no fault to Ryan Stevenson there. He did all he could really be expected to do, and threw the bat, just trying to make things look a little bit more respectable. But when you're 38 for 6, as Hampshire were, there isn't a lot left to be said about it, really. And that was quite a comfortable catch in the end by Matt Quinn.
Oh, it's Walter. Paul Walter.
Sorry, Paul Walter. And
both tall.
Yep. Yes, that'll be my excuse. Thank you for finding it for me.
Shaheen Afridi, who's batting for a 2nd time in this tournament for Hampshire, makes his way out, and we are near the end. It's quite a sad end for Hampshire, and a good end for Essex. This has been a reasonably comfortable afternoon for them, actually. So Crane on strike because the batsman crossed, and Plum with his 2nd wicket of his fledgling career. 21-year-old from Basildon comes in and bowls to Crane, shortish delivery, and Crane's in behind that. Plays that like a 4-day game, pushing that out on the offside.
Yeah, I mean, you can take any option you like really out there at this stage. You can opt for a bit of batting practice, and bowlers love to have a bat, actually.
Going to change the field here. They're going to put a slip in. Looks like Simon Harmer's going towards slip, or is he going in the gully? Fine gully. 3rd slip, fine gully.
Yeah, I think 3rd slip, yeah. Really.
Here comes Plum, then bowls, and Crane gets one again that's shortish, and he pushes it out on the offside.
Yes, the thing to be said, it's still hugely unlikely that Essex will qualify, but if they do, they'll have a great chance of winning again, because whoever wins a T20 tournament nearly always comes with a strong late run through the zonal stages having been written off previously.
Yep.
You know, it's a well-worn pattern. What you don't want is the sort of side who win the first 4 or 5 games and then suddenly come to a halt.
Yeah.
Remember, Kent did that last year and looked certain to qualify. Didn't finish in the first 4 after winning their first 5 games on the bounce.
He's Plum again, short, and Crane's trying to guide that down to third man. Now that's overhead height for me, and it's called. Is that 1 for the over?
This looks
over
like
shoulder height,
yeah.
or is it? Are they saying shoulder height? Don't know. Nothing else is signalled, so it looks like it was legitimate.
Yep.
No, you're right. You have to time your momentum, don't you, in this tournament?
Do.
I mean, normally when they're playing 14 games, it's over quite a long period, isn't it?
It is. You don't find many sides who can keep the momentum going right through 14 games.
No way. Crane guides that to deep backward point, and he'll pick up a single, moves on to 3, 95 for 9 Hampshire, 74 needed from here.
And equally, it's an exceptional batsman who remains in top form throughout a dirty great long, you know, run of 14 games. So if you get someone who's sort of got 450s in the first 6 innings, he probably isn't going to get many more after that.
No, I agree. Pretty sorry looking card for Hampshire, with Chris Wood top scorer on 18. 17 from Ryan Stevenson, 16 from Joe Weatherly. But Essex have been really good, haven't they, in the field? Bowling, Aaron Najjar setting the tone, didn't he, early on?
Yeah, no, they have been good. Funnily enough, I thought Hampshire's best player on the day was Joe Weatherly, who came in, immediately timed the ball. That's when wickets were falling around him, and he just lobbed the ball back to get out. He made 16 to Najjar, and it was unexpected, really, as Walter comes in, bowls, and this ball is played down to mid-off. Simon Harmer for no run. It's 95 for 9. We're now in the 17th over, with the target still 74 runs away.
Yeah, Najjar 3 for 22 from his 4. Couple of wickets for Plom, and 1 each for Quinn, Cook, Harmer and Walter, all chipping in.
Yeah, very much so. Pleased for Jack Plom, you know, just a young lad making his way in the game. It's bowled tidily, and obviously big wicket of James Vince. This ball is hammered down to mid-off. They'll get a single here, 96 for 9. And Crane has 4, and Shaheen Afridi yet to get off the mark will come into strike. Bowled very well, 21 off his 4 overs. Shaheen Afridi didn't manage to take a wicket, but bowled well.
He did, yeah, he got the ball through, didn't he?
Lovely to see the Pakistani 19-year-old playing here. One of the highlights of the day, as I said before. Very fine player who should have many good years in the game. Walter switching to over the wicket to the left-hander. Shaheen Afridi, 96 for 9 on the board, 18th over. Walter bowls, and appeal for LBW, not out. I think it would just have faded down leg. They get through for a leg by, 97 for 9, and 17th over, I should have said, not 18th.
Just watching the replay, if you've got the live stream. Just watching Walter bowl now. I think, yeah, that's going down the leg side, isn't it?
It's one where you know they're going to appeal, but shouldn't be given out. Walter, left arm, switching to round the wicket to bowl to Mason Crane on 4. Playing a miss outside off stump. He's bowled well here, Paul Walter.
He has.
97 for 9 remains the score.
He's varied his pace a little bit as well, and just angled the ball away from the right hand. So he's coming round the wicket, and the ball just straightens a fraction. He has bowled nicely, bowled a nice tight line.
Well, Essex are looking so much better than they did, because not only were they failing with the bat until Monday, well, perhaps not on the previous game against Surrey, they did get 190 odd, but until then, failing with the bat, but they were bowling poorly as well, whereas everything has come right in the last 2 games. This ball's played out into the covers, and they get through for the single. The score goes to 98 for 9, with Crane up to 5. Essex, who complete their campaign with a trip to Canterbury, where I will make my way on Friday, and that looks a very tough ask. But if they were to get Crawley early, which they have been known to do in the past, they'd be in with a shout. And of course they finish with a home game against Sussex on Sunday. And this next ball, Afridi works almost sheepishly into the onside there. It was airborne, but mid-on deep enough to have no chance of catching. They get a single to get Afridi off the mark, and the score well, we had 88 for 8 a few moments ago. It's now 99 for 9 in well, in fact, that's the end of the 17th over. So 99 for 9, leaving Hampshire with the surely impossible task of getting 70 off 3.
Yeah, it'd be a good game to win from here, that's for sure.
Yes, don't go away. It might just
Don't go away. Stay, you just never know. You could play this game 999,000 times out of 100, and actually somewhere along the line you would win it.
Yeah.
999,000 times out of, no, out of a million. Yeah, and somebody would win it.
I thought you were stretching a point there,
Yeah.
but even so, it's going to be Plum to continue from the hotel end.
2 for 7, eh? Off his 2 overs, he'll enjoy it. He is enjoying it. That's a pull shot outside the off stump. Afridi's quite a long way away from that, trying to pull that away on the leg side. I have to say, we are in a situation now where you'd rather the game just end, because this is just playing out time almost for playing out time's sake. But
one thing we can say, it's been an absolutely gorgeous day with a very nice refreshing breeze. Temperature not too hot, which I think it probably would have been yesterday. Yeah. Been absolutely ideal. Lots of sunshine.
It's great having you as well, Paul.
Thank you.
Plum bowl, slower ball, full as well, and Afridi just plays it back to the bowler, and there's no run.
And yeah, it's a shame that the game has rather fizzled out. But one thing I do think's true, it vindicates Dan Lawrence's approach. A man who'd come in and smashed the ball to all corners on Monday against Sussex, but we saw him with an unusually slow start here, and he's been proved right, really. You know, he took his time and obviously figured that this wasn't going to be a pitch quite to play the same way.
Bowles, and that's driven, and he's through the gap. Lovely shot, Shaheen Afridi. Found the gap between extra cover and mid-off. Slightly aerial, but he struck it well. And that's the Hampshire 100 up in the 18th.
Indeed. Always worth just for a little bit of consolation, at least to say you weren't bowled out for 2 figures. And he's hit a 4 there. Wasn't a bad shot at all either. Clearly batting's not his forte yet, although he's only 19, so who knows in 3 or 4 years' time. I think he'll be considerably better than he is at the moment. Just Matt Quinn being brought up into the circle. Third man.
Here comes Plum again, and that's full. Good Yorker and a good stop with his feet, and Afridi has to quickly get back. I think he thought he hit that, even though he didn't hit it well. He thought it had gone past the bowler, but Plum did well, sort of stuck his foot out, and the ball somehow ricocheted up to his hand. Yeah,
I thought Afridi did well to keep it out. It was sort of Yorkerish delivery, and as you say, good piece of footwork from Plum. Of course, cricketers love nothing more than their football warm-ups. Which is, I have to say, I know some people look down on it, but it is good for team spirit. They do enjoy it thoroughly.
Plum's round the wicket, and Afridi's trying to slog that away on the leg side, gets wrapped on his pad.
On a serious point, Kevin, in the Mark Patini era of captaincy of Essex, Essex loved these football warm-ups, and it was great for team spirit. And then it was stopped because someone got an injury, and you just didn't get the same feeling of buzz between the players, you know. So, all right, you will get 1 or 2 injuries from doing it, but maybe it's worth it if it brings everybody together and the players benefit from it in overall terms.
Plum again then from the hotel end, staying round the wicket to Afridi. It's full again, and Afridi digs that one out to extra cover. Oh, if it was picked up cleanly by Nijar, I think Afridi would have been struggling. But that's actually clever bowling from Plum. I actually think he's used his brain in that over.
Yeah.
And I think actually in that 1 over, I think you can see something there. Yeah, it's all about bowling, and you've got to bowl right, and you've what have you, but you also need a brain. And I think in that over, he certainly had one.
You do make such a good point there, and hopefully this is one as well. The snag for Jack Plum is Jamie Porter, Sam Cook and Aaron Beard. Now, Beard has taken wickets, proved expensive, but I saw him the other day against Middlesex. He was very economical, went for 2 and over. Took 4 wickets in the second innings, hit the stumps 3 times, and he is another very good prospect through the academy, as is Jack Plom. There's another bowler we haven't even seen yet in the first team, Ben Allison, who is very well spoken of. And they've got an embarrassment of riches as Sam Cook comes in, penultimate over. Bowls to Afridi, and this is a good shot from Afridi. Plays the ball down to wide, long on. Simon Harmer's there, so just be a single. 104 for 9, of which Afridi has 105 for 9, I should say. Afridi has 7 and Crane 5.
I missed this tweet earlier from Kevin Field. Apologies at Solent Sports. He said, I'd just like to say that how refreshing it has been to listen to Paul commentating in an impartial way.
Thank you. We always try to, you know, look at it even-handedly and not gloat. Although I did come on gloating slightly when the score was 38 for 6. But
you did.
I plead exceptional circumstances.
No, you did, actually. Your voice sounded different, Paul, I have to say.
You did set me up by saying here to gloat. I didn't want to let you down from the big build-up.
There's more gloating here as well, actually, because more of that tweet was, we know that Kevin is one of the best. Well, that's very nice, isn't it? Thank you. But some counties, no names, Middlesex, Surrey, Kent, are muted in their family.
Here's the next ball, and it goes out into the offside for a single. The batsman's Crane, and that takes the score to 106 for 9. And Crane has 6. Shahid Afridi into strike. But of course, the main point about the game of cricket, it's just a fantastic game.
Yeah.
So whoever does something of worthy note has to be praised.
Of course.
Cook switches to round the wicket to left-handed Afridi, who has an enormous swish at this. Comfortably misses. Equally, it comfortably misses the stumps. And there's no run, and Cook now racing back, because Essex are probably, with so many wickets going down, a little bit behind on over rate as Cook comes in again. Bowls, and this ball's gone well up into the air. Cook's trying to get underneath, it fails, it goes over his head, it wasn't a chance, and they get through for a single, and Afridi has 8 and the score to 107 for 9.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to cost them at all if they don't get this last over in, but even so, I can't see what the cut-off time is. Don't think it's on the board at the moment. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
No, it doesn't appear to be.
Oh, 16:52. Tell a lie.
Well, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
Of course, the umpires do have the discretion to. I mean, you could have hold-ups for any reason that are legitimate, and I think the constant switch over of batsmen is a legitimate reason. It's bound with 9 wickets down to put a few minutes on the clock.
It's just a conversation there between Ben Debenham and Simon Harmer.
Probably on that subject. Cook's in bowls, the ball's driven down to Harmer, and there'll be no run. Crane the batsman, and with 1 ball left of the penultimate over, Hampshire are 107 for 9, having been set 169 to win.
I think we had this at Lord's where it looked like it was going to happen, and I think Liam said that I think all it just alters the field. You're not allowed to have as many players out.
Right.
Don't think there's penalty runs this time.
Cook bowls again. Slower ball, well watched by Crane. There's almost a misunderstanding between the batsmen, but the bowler has to run across into the offside to field. Single, 108 for 9, with Shahid Afridi on 8. Crane has 7, and this last wicket pair more or less decided. Certainly Crane has, to play properly and keep his wicket intact. Afridi, the more sort of swashbuckling approach, and he's not done badly actually after an uncertain start to get to 8.
I think you should do this last over, Paul. Essex are going to win. I think it's only right that you should take the last over. What do you think?
If you insist.
Well, I don't insist. I'm just politely. It's a polite inquiry.
No, you have it.
No, I think you should. No, after you.
Right. No. All right then. Thank you very much. Great pleasure as ever, and we've survived seeing a lot of each other this season because I was there at Arundel and did the home T20 game and this one. As Plom is in, bowls, and this ball's hit in the air and very nearly caught by Tenduscarter in the covers. I don't think I can ever remember Tenduscarter having so little fielding to do in an innings. First time we've really mentioned him in the field, did very well with the bat, but that's 4 runs to Crane, who moves along to 11, and Hampshire at 112 for 9. Essex made 168 for 3 in their 20 overs after choosing to bat. Delport 31, Wesley 51, put on over 50 for the first wicket in quick time, and then after a lull in mid-innings, Dan Lawrence 49 not out and Tenduscarter 29 not out took Essex through to that figure with another half-century partnership, 168 for 3, and that's almost the end of the match, but the ball bounces just on the half volley in front of Wesley at fine third man, and they get through for, well, I'm not sure if they did take a single there. It remains 112 for 9. I was busy watching Wesley's attempt to catch that, but they're still at the same ends, and they didn't take 2. And Plom, who's bowled with considerable, terrible pun coming up, aplomb, 3.2 overs, no maidens, 2 for 16. Plom bowls, and this ball's belted out to mid-off, and there might have been a shy at the stumps there, but fieldsman Harmer for once doesn't pick it up cleanly. They get the single, 113 for 9, and Crane up to 12, and Afridi into strike on 8, and we now have just half an over left.
Yeah, it's just prologuing the agony here a little bit, isn't it, really?
Yeah. In fairness, Hampshire will do well from the position they were in to play out the 20 overs and at least not be bowled out if they manage that.
Well, I'm not sure anybody will remember this in a week's time.
No. I mean, obviously, when your top scorer is 18, there's no glossing round it. It's not been a good day. Up Plum again, switching to round the wicket to the left-handed Afridi. Bowls, and this ball's belted down to long on, not with particular timing or grace, but those are minor elements. And actually, Afridi had started walking the run, and the throw came in, and there was a sort of collection of mistakes there. He was a bit casual. The bowler didn't gather it cleanly. It wasn't the greatest of throws, and you can't blame the cricketers at this late stage for not being absolutely flat out. It's 114 for 9, and Afridi goes up to 9. Blom again, lovely summer's evening here from the Hotel M bowls, and that's quite well bowled because Crane had backed away to leg to carve it into the offside, couldn't reach it. There wasn't a wide. 114 for 9, 1 ball left.
I think this guy's a bit of a find, you know. I mean, the ball before was a good slower ball.
Yes, no,
that
I agree.
Quite, you know, full outside off stump. He knows exactly what he's doing. Oh, see, I think this guy's a bit of a find in this cricket.
And where I particularly agree with you, Essex haven't really got bowlers of the quicker variety who vary the pace that much, and he does. You know, he thinks about it and can take the pace off the ball, and still bowl well. You know, that was also good thinking there as he comes in to complete the match. And this one goes over the top of the stumps and through into the gloves of Michael Pepper. And that will be it, with Hampshire closing 114 for 9. Essex win by 54 runs, making 168 for 3, having elected to bat on winning the toss. Shahid Afridi is 9 not out, and Mason Crane is 12 not out. 114 for 9. May I thank very much Kevin James as ever, and Liam Dawson. Been a huge pleasure to work with you both, and obviously Essex having been completely out with the washing for the first certainly 5 games in this tournament. They did actually play quite well against Surrey, even though they lost off the last ball, and they've looked very convincing at Hove and here again at the Ageas, and now they complete a week on the road at Canterbury on Friday and finish at home to Sussex on Sunday. Even if they do win those 2 games, they probably won't qualify, but at least they're finishing well.
They certainly are, yeah. 2 wins out of 2 for Essex, and for Hampshire that's 5 defeats in a row now in this competition, and completely outbatted today, Hampshire. Wesley with 51, Darren Lawrence with 49 not out. Cameron Delport again give Essex the a quick start that they usually get from him. 31 off 22 balls, and 168 for 3 I think was about right on this pitch. Unfortunately, the Hampshire batting, although it showed signs of recovering a little bit in the game against Kent last, I'm afraid that all too often in this competition they lose wickets early and really struggle to recover.
Well, just a final point would be, I'll take Liam Dawson's cue here. He said on seeing Aaron Nijjar bowl the first 4 overs from the pavilion end and take 3 for 22, he said, there's my man of the match there and now. I think it's a very fair call. Lovely to see a player who's hardly played for Essex really, only came in for finals day last year, performed well there. So Aaron Nijjar, man of the match, who's 3 for 22. But Essex convincing winners by 54 runs, and on behalf of Kevin James, Liam Dawson, this is Paul Newton handing the BBC Essex 765 medium wave listeners back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Paul. If you're listening via the BBC Cricket website, then we're just staying on there just for a few minutes, and also via the live stream via the Hampshire Cricket website. We'll just have a final chat with Liam Dawson, who's alongside us. From a Hampshire point of view, Liam, I mean, I don't know what to say. I was quite hopeful after the batting last game, but I'm afraid it just fell back into its old ways, didn't it?
No, extremely poor. There's no beating around the bush at all. I mean, it's a shocking performance. To lose in that manner by that many runs on a very, very good pitch there's no excuse at all. So it's another very, very frustrating day for that Hampshire dressing room.
So what do Hampshire do now for these last 2 games?
If it was me, I would look to play Felix Organ, Scott Curry, Ajit Dale. Give these lads a run out and let them experience a couple of games in T20 professional cricket. There's nothing to lose by doing that, and I think that will do them the world of good.
So disappointing afternoon. Any pluses today?
I think there's only one, isn't it? I mean, Mason Crane again with the ball 1 for 27 off his 4 overs. Shaheen Afridi showed why he's such a good death bowler around the world. He was none for 21 off his 4 overs, but apart from that, there's nothing else to report home.
Okay, thanks Liam. Thank you very much. I don't think there's too much more to be said really. It's been a desperately horrible afternoon from a Hampshire point of view. And 54 runs Hampshire have lost, 114 for 9 in reply to the Essex total of 168 for 3. Well, if you've been listening to us and you love your Essex cricket, then I'm sure you've enjoyed the afternoon a little bit more than perhaps you have done if you follow Hampshire. Much to be contemplated, that's for sure. I'll get some reaction in the next few minutes from the Hampshire camp. And that'll be posted on the Hampshire Cricket website. Have a look at that on their Twitter feed as well. I'll also be posting that on the @SonanSport Twitter feed. So look out for a reaction from a Hampshire point of view. I don't know, probably about 15-20 minutes or so that will be going up. But, well, listen, you can only look forward. And we're back with you this coming Friday when Surrey visit here. The Ageas Bowl. It's a 2 o'clock start as well for that one. Myself, Mark Church from BBC London, and Liam Dawson will be back as well. No Emily Windsor again on Friday because the Vipers have a game on the Saturday, so they're travelling up to London. So myself, Mark Church, and Liam Dawson will take you through the action on Friday. We'll be on the stream 15 minutes before the start of play. That'll be 1:45. And if you're listening via the BBC Sport website, we'll be around about that same time too. So from Liam Dawson, from Paul Newton and myself, Kevin James, I wish you a very good evening.